Chapter 16:15 Yuan stared at the test result in her hand with evident shock. Every memory fragment since her rebirth flashed through her mind like a carousel lantern. She lived 2 lives, but she still hadn't known who in the world she was until today. However, she was still puzzled about many things. Why didn't her grandfather's words to her in her memories match reality at all? If she was worryless Nya, how could she be Chinese and an orphan even though Madame Nya and Patriarch were evidently still alive? She even wondered whether her death in her previous life had a mystery behind it or was related to the independent state. Moreover, why did Yin replace her memories? Just what happened back then that caused her to leave the independent state? Yi Wanwan's fingers slowly clenched around the report. She finally found out her background, but her mood became heavy and solemn. It was obvious Nye Linglong was currently keeping the entire Nye family in the dark. She was certain that the power behind Nye Linglong was extraordinary, or else she wouldn't have been able to bribe so many test centers in the independent state and manage to use a fake worryless Nye to fool everyone. Many of the internal factions under the Nye Linglong were probably under Nye Linglong's control already. Yi Wanwan couldn't surmise the real situation concerning Nye Linglong at all. After learning about the test results, her first reaction was to reunite with her family, but she rapidly calmed down after considering everything. If she did, she might act rashly, or she might bring danger to the Nye family and Tang Tang. She needed to figure out the power behind Nye Linglong, along with Nye Linglong's objective, so she could make thorough preparations. Bai Feng's identity would allow her investigation to run more smoothly. Yi Wanwan took a deep breath before standing up to head to the Nye residence. Right now, the person she wanted to see the most was Tang Tang, Nye residence's main door. As soon as Yi Wanwan arrived, she saw Tang Tang at the main door. However, there was a man wearing a steward's uniform blocking Tang Tang and appeared to be speaking to him. Wasn't the Nye family's steward an elderly man? Why was there a different person? Judging from Tang Tang's expression, he was furious. Move! The little fella was icily staring at the young steward in front of him. Little young master, please go back. The steward was bowing respectfully, but there wasn't any reverence or fear in his eyes. Instead, he looked fairly confident. Tang Tang's gaze turned harsh. Insolence. Since when can you tell me what to do? The young steward appeared to be shocked by the child's severe gaze and aura. He calmed down and continued to say uncaringly, Little young master, this isn't my command. It's your mother's command. The independent state hasn't been peaceful lately, so it's too dangerous for you to willfully leave and go outside like this. Even if you made a ruckus in front of Madam and Patriarch, it'd be useless. Insolence. Are you threatening me? This subordinate wouldn't dare. This subordinate is merely doing as Second Miss ordered. Second Miss is doing this for your own good. Guards, send little young master back to his room. Tang Tang lost his patience and ignored that young steward, heading straight for the door. The steward immediately ordered coldly, Why are you standing around? Hurry and stop little young master. The guards in black on the side immediately rushed forward and blocked Tang Tang's path. Meanwhile, the young steward grabbed Tang Tang's arm, wanting to forcefully drag him back. Chapter 16:16 Chapter 16:16 Baby, don't be scared. Mommy's here, little young master. You should head back with us nicely. Don't make things hard for us. The young steward grabbed Tang Tang and forcefully dragged Tang Tang inside when he saw Tang Tang's noncompliance. Watching this scene, Yi Wanwan felt like an inferno was burning in her chest. Her eyes chilled, and she marched toward the door. Release him, Yi Wanwan ordered. Tang Tang jolted when he heard Yi Wanwan's voice, his enraged eyes filling with surprise and joy. He spun around and shook off the steward's hand before swiftly leaping toward Yi Wanwan. Mommy! Yi Wanwan knelt down and caught the tiny figure. Mommy! The little fella plastered himself into Yi Wanwan's arms, his figure trembling slightly. Mommy! Mommy! As Yi Wanwan listened to the little fella's repeated calls of Mommy, she felt like an iron claw was gripping her heart tightly, and her heart spasmed with waves of pain. It's fine, baby, don't be scared. Mommy's here. Mommy. Tang Tang missed Mommy. Tang Dang want to go see mommy. Heartache filled Yuan as she listened to the little fella's childish voice. From the looks of it, the fake worryless Nya purposefully didn't want her to be too close to Tang Dang, so she had to ground Tang Dang and prohibit him from leaving the Nya residence. She listed Tong Tong's safety as the reason, so that even Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya wouldn't oppose and would even back her up. Yuan previously didn't know her identity, so she tried her best to avoid getting too intimate with Tang Dang in order to not impact Tong Tong's relationship with his biological mother. She knew Tang Dang really liked her, but still restrained herself from seeing him. She didn't expect to hurt Tang Dang in the end. Yuan's heart was about to shatter as she watched the little fella sticking to her like a ball of mochi. President Bai, this is the Nya residence, not your fearless alliance. Out of consideration for eldest young master, we allow you to enter as you please, but it doesn't mean you can behave atrociously here. I'm advising you to mind your own business. The young steward imperiously said. This steward had to be Nya Linglong's underling. Yuan ignored the steward's threat and warning and patted Tong Tong's head in comfort. Then she looked at the steward's right hand without a trace of warmth in her eyes. Just now, you used that hand to touch him. The young man haughtily glanced at her from the corner of his eye. What? Tang Tang, close your eyes. Yuan instructed Tang Tang. The little fella didn't know the reason, but immediately closed his eyes obediently. Okay. A second later, a shriek like a pig being slaughtered rang throughout the estate. This shriek was accompanied by a bone-chilling cracking sound. In the blink of an eye, Yuan had forcefully broken the man's wrist. The man rolled back and forth on the ground while clutching his wrist in pain. If she used her normal strength, she absolutely couldn't have snapped an adult man's wrist with ease like that. However, with fury raging through her mind, it appeared natural she could do that. Before, Yuan never understood why incomprehensible martial arts strength occasionally exploded out of her. Now, she finally understood. This was strength that belonged to worryless Nya, her true self. However, due to her lack of memories, her abilities were very unstable and couldn't be controlled. Chapter 16-17 Chapter 16-17 There's nothing that I, by phone, am scared if she had to meet with Scarlet Flames Academy's headmaster as soon as possible and recover her memory. Otherwise, with her current situation, not only could she not protect herself, but she also couldn't protect the people she wanted to protect. By phone, you actually dared to act atrociously in front of a Nya residence. The young steward viciously glared at her, malice brewing in his eyes. Baby, you can open your eyes now, Yuan said to Tang Tang with an oddly gentle tone as she leaned down before immediately chillingly glancing at the man lying on the ground. She chuckled lightly. There's nothing that I, by phone, am scared of in this world. Do you want to try me? It had to be said that it was quite satisfying to use her identity as the independent state's tyrant. Now that she could use her identity as the president of the Fearless Alliance to investigate Nya Linglong, and since the enemy was in the light while she was in the dark, it was more advantageous for her. The steward was probably wary of the Fearless Alliance's name and recalled their terrorizing style, so reluctance flashed through his eyes, and he didn't say anything more. Yuan was originally worried she acted too violently and would be disliked by Tang Dang. However, Tang Dang was looking up at her with sparkling eyes as he exclaimed, "Mommy's really awesome." Yuan's eyes softened, filling with heartache. "Mommy isn't awesome at all. Mommy caused you to be alone ever since you were born. Mommy didn't even know about your existence. Tang Tang, how about Mommy takes you out to play today?" Yuan asked the little fella. The young master steward got up and angrily shouted, "By phone, Miss Worryless ordered that no one is permitted to leave the Nya residence with little young master. Do you know the consequences of brazenly kidnapping our little young master?" As soon as the steward spoke, the guards blocked Yuan's path instantly. Kidnap? She was Madame Nya's foster daughter, and Madame Nya told her that she could enter and leave as she pleased. If they were worried about Tong Tong's safety, nothing was safer than being with her, the president of the Fearless Alliance. These people were merely instructed by Nye Linglong and worryless Nye, and purely wanted to make trouble. Hence, she didn't plan to talk logic with them. Yuan was holding Tong Tong's little hand when her lips turned up as she nonchalantly ran her eyes over everyone present. It appears you'd all like to see my Fearless Alliance's 7-kill order for yourself. When the guards present heard the words 7-kill order, chills automatically ran down their backs as though they recalled something extremely terrifying. The entire clan would be destroyed within 7 days. There'd never been an exception. Although failing their duty would cause them to face punishment from the Patriarch, provoking the Fearless Alliance would cause their whole family to be destroyed. Moreover, who was by phone? With her martial arts skills, they wouldn't be a match for her even if they had double the enforcements. After all, she snapped the steward's wrist without batting her eyes just moments ago. These guards also knew very well that little young master wouldn't be in any danger with by phone. It was just that second miss prohibited little young master from leaving the house. After a moment of deliberation, everyone looked at each other and simultaneously paused in their steps. Under everyone's fearful gazes, Yuan directly led Tang Tang by the hand and left the Nye residence. The little fella tightly clasped his mommy's hand. Afraid she'd let it go. Behind them, the steward clutched his wrist with a dark expression. Quickly tell second miss and third miss to come back, and inform Madam and Patriarch that by phone from the Fearless Alliance abducted little young master. Chapter 1618. 1618, Chapter 1618. They could do anything. Yuan led Tang Tang out of the estate's gates. The little fella suddenly dropped his head and stopped walking. Tang Tang, what is it? Yuan asked as she leaned down. Mommy, Tang Tang should go back, the little fella quietly said. Yuan blinked. Why? Tang Tang doesn't want to be with Mommy. The little fella immediately looked up emotionally. Of course not. Tang Tang wants to be with Mommy. Tang Tang always wants to be with Mommy. But Grandpa and Grandma will get angry. Tang Tang doesn't want to cause trouble for Mommy. He knew that even if Grandpa and Grandma didn't do anything to him, he'd definitely cause trouble for Mommy. Yuan was incredibly moved by the little fella's consideration. She gently said, Don't worry, baby, you won't. Mommy's here. Mommy guarantees Grandpa and Grandma won't be angry and Mommy won't get into trouble. So don't worry and come with Mommy, okay? Even if there was trouble, it would be other people getting into trouble. Okay. The little fella vehemently nodded, his eyes brimming with trust and dependence. Mommy, can Mommy call Ting Dang baby again? The little fella asked hesitantly. Yuan chuckled softly. Of course. Tang Tang is forever Mommy's baby. The little fella immediately replied back with sparkling eyes. Mommy is also Tong Tong's baby. Yuan met his eyes, shining as bright as the starry night, and couldn't help but clutch her chest. Heavens, how can my precious baby be so adorable and cute? Such an adorable and cute child is actually my child. Mine. Her eyes were nearly spitting fire from envy the first time. She wondered just what kind of genes his parents had to have to produce such an adorable and pretty child. She never would have expected herself to be Tong Tong's mom. This was simply too miraculous. She was clueless about the circumstances in which she had Tang Tang. She actually didn't have any memories of this event. Such a precious memory. Just when the world happened back then that could make her bear to abandon Tang Tang. She was clueless about the identity of Tong Tong's father, too. Yuan gently looked at the little fella. Baby, can you call me Mommy again? The little fella happily agreed, of course, and childishly called, Mommy, good boy. Yuan patted the child's head and forcefully repressed her intense emotions before saying, Oh right, Tang Tang. I heard your uncle mentioning it's your mom's birthday in a few days. She previously learned from nameless Nye that worryless Nye's birthday was November 23rd. In other words, her true birthday was November 23rd. When the little fella heard Yuan mention that, Mom, his eyes dimmed, and he nodded. Yes. Yuan's eyes shifted, and she rubbed her chin as she said, How about this, baby? I'll bring you to a cake shop for fun today, and you can personally make a cake for your mom. It could be a birthday surprise for her. Tang Tang cast down his eyes, struggle evident on his little face. Will Mommy accompany Tang Tang? Yuan smiled. Of course Mommy will accompany Tang Tang. Mommy will accompany Tang Tang the whole day today. The little fella's face brightened instantly. Tang Tang wants to go. As long as he could be with Mommy for longer, they could do anything. Chapter 1619. After leaving the Nye residence, Yuan brought Tang Tang to the most high-end custom-made cake shop in the independent state. As soon as Yuan arrived, the owner fearfully came out to receive them personally. He immediately prepared all the ingredients and equipment when he discovered Yuan wanted to make a cake personally. When Yuan first suggested this, the little fella looked a bit unwilling, but when they started making the cake together, it was evident he was particularly happy. Yuan couldn't help but have mixed feelings as she watched Tang Tang's joyful appearance. This wasn't the right timing for her to tell Tang Tang the truth, so right now, that fake worryless Nye was his real mother to him. Mommy, Tang Tang's done. Tang Tang's voice caused Yuan to return to the present. Her vision cleared, and she saw that Tang Tang finished handcrafting his cake. The cake had flowers meticulously crafted from icing, which were lining the edges, and a giant heart made from cherries placed in the center. It's very beautiful. Tang Tang's too awesome. Yuan praised him immediately. The little fella shyly pursed his lips before lifting the cake and handing it to Yuan. Mommy, it's for you. Yuan was taken back. For me? Didn't you make it for your mom? Tang Tang brightly stared at her and seriously said, but Tang Tang wants to give it to Mommy. This is Tang Tang's first time making a cake, so Tang Tang wants to give it to Mommy. The Mommy that Tang Tang was referring to was her. Because this was his first time making it, it was the most important, so he wanted to give it to her. Warmth flowed through Yuan's heart, and she leaned over to embrace the little fella. Thank you, Tang Tang. Thank you, my baby. This is the most precious birthday present I've ever received. Does Mommy like it? I like it. Of course I like it. Then let's eat it together, Mommy. Okay. Mother and son devoured the little cake together before making another one. This time, the little fella only made a few flowers and leaves with the icing, but didn't place a heart in the center. The little fella's mood plunged as soon as they finished packing up the cake. Mommy, are you going to take me home now? Yuan glanced at the time. It's still early. Mommy will take you to have dinner first. How about that? Tang Tang nodded instantly. Yes. And so, Yuan left the cake shop, one hand holding Tang Tang and the other hand holding the cake. However, the moment they stepped out of the shop, Yuan discovered a sea of people in front of them, and they didn't have any room to walk. What's going on up ahead? Yuan mumbled. A person trying to squeeze through the crowd answered. The Shun family's food street is having a grand opening up ahead, and there's a giant promotion on the first day. Everything is free. The Shun family's food street was having a grand opening. Yuan's lips twitched. It truly was the Shun family style to make everything free. Mommy. The place was rather crowded, so Tang Tang anxiously grasped the edge of Yuan's clothes. Mommy, stay close to Tang Tang. Don't get separated from me. Yuan chuckled lightly and clasped Tang Tang's hand. This way we won't get separated. Joy filled the little fella's eyes, and his lips curved upwards, two cute dimples emerging from his fair cheeks. And I want to hold Mommy's hand forever. Since foot traffic was heavy up ahead and the food street was developed by the Independent States tycoon, the Shun family, it should be decent. Hence, Yuan led Tang Tang forward to join the festivities. Chapter 16:20. The food street was brightly lit and decorated with glittering gold. The wide assortment of exquisitely made street food made everyone dizzy from the selection and drool with desire. Moreover, everything was free, so it attracted a torrent of customers and unusual liveliness in the area. For some reason, Yuan recalled that time in China where she and Siyin brought Tang Tang to the amusement park, and their family of 3 spent the whole day having fun there. Yuan gathered her thoughts and asked, Baby, what do you want to eat? Tongtong's head swirled left and right. It was obvious he was dazzled from the selection. Hence, Yuan generously waved her hand. Then let's taste every one of them. Yuan kept shopping as she walked and purchased takoyaki, skewers, cold noodles, and all kinds of street food, eagerly stuffing it into the little fella's hands after buying it. As the mother and son duo ate while they walked, a person suddenly charged toward her like a whirlwind. "Ah, beautiful miss, we meet again." Yuan saw the newcomer, and her brows raised. "Young Master Shun. That's right, that's right. One extreme honor that you still remember me. Beautiful miss. Look at this beautiful setting around us. Aren't you bored by yourself, beautiful miss? Why don't you allow me to accompany you?" Shen Tiantian was joyfully hitting on her when he suddenly detected a sharp gaze shooting toward him like a dagger. Only then did Shen Tiantian look down and meet a pair of bright and icy eyes. "Apologies, Mommy isn't by herself," the little fella solemnly stated while staring at the man above him, his hand firmly holding onto his mommy's hand. You are?" Shen Tiantian stared in shock at the child, calling Yuan mommy. Yuan chuckled softly and patted the ruffled child. "He's my son." The little fellow was startled at first before resplendent light shot out of his eyes. What? You have a son?" Shen Tiantian was shocked. Yuan thought it would be perfect to use Tang to eliminate Shen Tiantian's crush. Hence she said, "Yeah, what? Is that a problem?" Adoration brimmed from the man's expression. For a woman who's endowed with beauty, but also intelligence but also martial strength, and martial strength but also viciousness like President Bai, it'd be logical for you to have 10 sons, let alone one. "Don't worry, beautiful miss, I absolutely don't mind." Yuan what? 10 sons. Can't he say less scary things? I'm shocked enough with one son. When Tang heard him, his little face darkened again, and his displeasure grew as he stared at Shen Tiantian. "Beautiful miss, eat anything you want here," Shen Tiantian generously proclaimed, exemplifying a filthy, rich person. "Couldn't I eat whatever I wanted to begin with?" That's true, but you should be treated differently, beautiful miss." "I'll personally accompany you today," Shen Tiantian said. Yuan was exasperated. "I don't need it, okay?" Unfortunately, Shen Tiantian wasn't an easy person to dismiss. He forcefully followed her and Tang the whole time with an especially eagerly attentive attitude. After all, since this whole street belonged to his family, Yuan couldn't get rid of him even if she wanted to. "Mommy," Tang cautiously stared at Shen Tiantian and covertly pulled her hand. Yuan looked down and asked quietly, "What is it, baby?" Tang hesitated for half a day before saying with a solemn expression, "Mommy, please don't like this person." Chapter 16:21. Yuan broke into laughter. "What?" Tang answered immediately. "He doesn't suit Mommy." Yuan was intrigued. "Oh, if he doesn't suit Mommy, then who do you think suits Mommy?" The little fella lowered his eyes and sunk into contemplation. Beautiful miss, try this. I'll feed you." Shen Tiantian eagerly approached her with a Tonghalu one in hand. Yuan had a headache as she looked at Shen Tiantian. Since a roundabout rejection was useless, she could only straightforwardly say, "Apologies, young Master Shun, but I already like someone else." Shen Tiantian didn't look like he cared at all and grinned as he replied, I know. You like beautiful men, President Bai. If we're talking about looks, I should meet your standards, right, President Bai?" Yuan's lips twitched. Just how bad was Bai Feng's reputation? Did everyone know about her lascivious nature? Yuan helplessly explained, "That's not what I meant. I'm saying I have a lover. He's the one and only true love of my life, and not someone I'm casually having fun with." Shen Tiantian righteously said, "President Bai, for a woman who's endowed with beauty, but also intelligence but also martial strength, and martial strength but also viciousness like you, how could you halt your steps for a single flower? Your path should traverse the universe. There are still so many beautiful men waiting for you to conquer them. Like me, for example." "That's enough." Yuan couldn't get through to him no matter what she said, and was agonizing over how to ditch Shun Tianshun when she heard a gentle voice ahead of them. Xiao Feng. Ji Shiran? Yuan didn't know how to describe her mood upon seeing Ji Shiran under these circumstances. She had been impersonating Bai Feng, Ji Shiran's fiancée, so she didn't have any mental barriers about this before, and it was fine for her to act in front of him. Now, though, who could have expected her real identity to actually be Ji Shiran's fiancée? She didn't have the words to describe her feelings. What further complicated her mood was that she recalled Madame Nia saying it was Ji Shiran who broke the engagement back then and was unwilling to marry worryless Nia. Ji Shiran rejected the Nia family's engagement and secretly got together with Bai Feng. Does this mean I was cheated on by Ji Shiran? Before Yuan could respond, Tang Dang swiftly darted forward to Ji Shiran and cheerfully shouted, Uncle Ji, Uncle Ji! Tang Tang really missed you. A warm smile spread across Ji Shiran's face, and he reached out, his large hand patting the little fella's head. Yuan couldn't help but feel surprised upon seeing this, and her temples twitched. Tang Tang rarely acted so enthusiastically toward anyone but her. Yuan didn't expect him to be so familiar with Ji Shiran. However, thinking about it, it wasn't too strange. The Ji family and the Nia family had an amicable relationship, and Ji Shiran and worryless Nia, aka her, even once had an engagement, so it was normal for Ji Shiran to know Tang Dang. Theoretically speaking, though, if Tang Dang wasn't Ji Shiran's son, it meant Ji Shiran was cheated on. So how come Ji Shiran still treated Tang Dang so nicely? Did this mean Tang Dang couldn't be Ji Shiran and her child, right? Yuan was shocked by her own wild imagination. Chapter 1622, Mommy, Tang Dang called as he led Ji Shiran toward Yuan, waking her up. Mommy, this is my Uncle Ji. The difference in the little fella's attitude toward Ji Shiran and Shun Tianshun was like night and day, and he passionately introduced Ji Shiran to her. The little fella turned to Ji Shiran. Uncle Ji, this is my mommy who I mentioned to you. Ji Shiran chuckled lightly. I know your mommy. Yuan's lips twitched. It was more than just knowing. They're even secret lovers. Really, joyful surprise filled the little fella's face instantly. Emperor Ji, what a coincidence. I'm currently accompanying President Bai with her shopping. Shun Tianshun waved his hand holding the Tong Hulu. Ji Shiran didn't react oddly to his words and faintly smiled at the other man. Congratulations on opening a business, young Master Shun. I prepared some humble gifts for you and sent them to your home. You're too polite, Emperor Ji. Shun Tianshun smiled radiantly. Ji Shiran smiled before turning to Yuan. He used one hand to expertly take the cake box from her hand, as well as the bags of snacks before holding Tang Dang with the other hand. Then he said to Shun Tianshun, Thank you for taking care of Xiao Feng, young Master Shun. Shun Tianshun's mouth turned O-shaped upon seeing this. Hey, what's going on? Emperor Ji and Bai Feng. Emperor Ji can't possibly be interested in the beautiful Miss too, right? Shun Tianshun was confident beautiful Miss Bai wouldn't reject him since he was equipped with both money and looks. Now, though, this love rival was rather strong. Sweat slid down Shun Tianshun's forehead. President Bai, when you said there was someone you liked earlier, could it be that Emperor Ji is that one and only true love in your life? As Shun Tianshun said that, he wondered who this beautiful miss had this child with if things were like that. What happened to the one and only true love in her life that she mentioned? She wasn't trying to fool him, right? Due to her desire to get rid of Shun Tianshun and her strong survival instinct when facing Ji Shiran, Yuan nodded vehemently. That's right. Tang Dang blinked, appearing to be elated. Ji Shiran retained the same calm and unperturbed expression from the beginning. It might be Yuan's imagination, but she felt like Ji Shiran's smile seemed a few degrees warmer than his usual characteristic smile. Shun Tianshun's head pounded as soon as he heard that. He wasn't scared of many people in the entire independent state when it came to charming women. However, the love rival in front of him was truly too frightening. Shun Tianchun hesitated for a long while and decided it was a bit too difficult and dangerous to have a standoff against Emperor Ji. He finally asked, "Beautiful miss, do you accept concubines?" Yuanwan simply wanted to cudgel him to death for daring to ask her if she took concubines in front of Ji Shiran. "I don't take any, all right." Since the independent state revered the strong, and men and women were equals, powerful men weren't the only ones who could be rich and beautiful paramours. Women also could. I have no choice then. We can only have a fair competition." Shen Tianchan sighed. Shen Tianchan immediately took out a sparkling gold key from his pocket. "Beautiful miss, this is the key to our Shun Tianchan's treasury. A word from you, and I can use this as your betrothal gift." Yuanwan, what happened to a fair competition? Chapter 1623, Yuanwan face-bombed, exasperated. No thanks, she really wasn't interested in mountains of gold and silver. It was useless, but this, forget it. After being rejected, Shan Tianchan stared at her and questioned, "But, President Bai, isn't there something wrong with what you said earlier? If Emperor Ji is supposedly your one and only true love in your life, then who's the father of your son?" Yuanwan, why is this landlord's foolish son so hard to placate? I should just kill him now. While Yuanwan was agonizing over her desire to beat him up, Tang Dang suddenly stared at a nearby spot and called, "Daddy!" "Huh? Daddy? What the hell?" Yuanwan reflexively followed Tong Tong's gaze, and she actually saw a man wearing a black suit and emitting a chilly aura, as always. Lord Azura. The man just exited from the entrance of a high-end clubhouse with a group of followers trailing behind him. His eyes imperceptibly swept across Yuanwan, Emperor Ji, and Tang Tang, who were standing together like a family of three. His eyes turned as icy as the wintry Arctic, and a frigid aura radiated from him. Does it freaking have to be so coincidental? Yuanwan had intentionally given Lord Azura the cold shoulder for a period of time and didn't expect to run into him under these circumstances after many days of separation. Shit. Shen Tianchan's jaw was about to drop as he stared at the man who Tang Tang called Daddy. Wasn't this Lord Azura? What did this child call Lord Azura? Bai Feng actually managed to charm Lord Azura, and they had such a big child already? Then what was the situation with Ji Shiran? So she was two-timing? Admiration brimmed from Shun Tianchan's eyes as he turned to Yuanwan. He thought he was unruly enough already, but didn't expect her to be even more arrogant. Her harem was rather impressive. Daddy, Tang Tang automatically called when he saw that familiar face, a face he saw every day during his 3 months in China. Although their father and son relationship seemed aloof in China, there was obvious joy in Tong Tong's eyes when he saw the newcomer. Lord Azura, Shen Tianchan was stupefied. Cherub, what did you just call him? When Lord Azura saw the little fella holding hands with Ji Shiran, his cold eyes seemed to sparkle for a second like ice melting a tinge, but soon aloofness returned, and he looked at the child like a stranger. Tang Tang detected the man's reaction, his brows furrowing and face dimming. Confusion also entered his face. Yuanwan ignored Shen Tianchan's exclamation. After noticing Tong Tong's emotions, she looked down and explained to him, "Tang Tang, he isn't the person you know. They merely look alike." She couldn't explain everything to Tang Tang, so she could only tell him that. "Not Daddy." The little fella mumbled with a frown and looked up to examine the other man again. Their hair color is obviously the only thing different, though. Yuanwan gathered her thoughts and calmly greeted, "Lord Azura, what a coincidence. We meet again." Vixen, Jiang Yin, standing behind Lord Azura, didn't vocalize this, but the shape of his lips made it apparent he was saying that. Chapter 1624. 1624, she had an ambiguous relationship with Emperor Ji one moment, and seduced Shen Tianchan the next moment. How can my lord be tarnished by this kind of woman? As soon as he recalled the night when he accidentally stumbled into his lord's room and witnessed what this woman did to his lord, He felt like his lord suffered cosmic humiliation and sullying. He had to find the antidote for the goo poison no matter what. Lord Azura expressionlessly nodded at her in greeting. President Bai. His expression looked like they weren't familiar at all, and everything that happened before was non-existent, pissing Yuanwan off. As for Shun Tianshun, his mind was in utter chaos already. So is Lord Azura this child's dad or not? No. I found a woman this suitable for me with such difficulty. I absolutely can't give up this easily. Shun Tianshun bashfully looked at Yuanwan. President Bai, if you don't want it as a betrothal gift, it can be my dowry instead. So what if they were more powerful than him? He was richer. So what if they had a higher standing than him? He was richer. So what if they were more handsome than him? He was still richer. He didn't believe anybody in this world could resist his charms, even if his competitors were Emperor Ji and Lord Azura. After Shun Tianshun said that, he inexplicably felt a chill directed at his back. Wait, no, it feels like 2 waves of chills. No, 3 waves. He carefully examined the 3 people present aside from him and by phone. Emperor Ji maintained his calm smile. Lord Azura was expressionless, and the little child, he was even more unpredictable. Yuanwan had nothing to say. Where's this fool's integrity? Yuanwan took a deep breath, then swept her eyes over Ji Shiran and Lord Azura in a seemingly nonchalant manner. She said with a smile, Young Master Shun, my sincerest apologies. I like mountains of gold, of course. However, while I like mountains of gold, I like beauties even more. To me, a beauty smile can't be bought for 1,000 in gold. Although Yuanwan said, a beauty smile can't be bought for 1,000 in gold, she didn't specify who she was referring to. When Lord Azura heard her, dark emotions flashed through his face, and something flitted through his eyes. Shun Tianshun clutched his chest as though an arrow was shot into his heart and pitifully said, Actually, I'm also really good-looking when I smile. Take another careful look, beautiful miss. Shun Tianshun's face was truly gifted, and he could easily leap into the ranks of A-list actors in China, the type who could explode in popularity based on looks alone. Unfortunately, his other 2 opponents set standards off the charts. Yuanwan coughed. Young Master Shun, this actually has nothing to do with looks. Shun Tianshun solemnly glanced at her. Nothing to do with looks. Doesn't your conscience hurt when you say that, President Bai? Yuanwan. She seriously wanted to kill him still? At this moment, Tang Tang abruptly looked up at the man standing in front of them. You really aren't my daddy? Lord Azura peered down, his gaze landing on the fair child he hadn't seen in ages, and his iron-walled emotions actually lost a little control. He was silent for at least 3 seconds before coolly replying at last. You have the wrong person. Tang Tang stared at him, seeming to accept his answer. He said with conviction, Sorry, I recognize the wrong person. You're not daddy. My daddy is very gentle. Chapter 1625. As soon as the little fella said that, the man's glacial eyes cracked abruptly, astonishment and complicated feelings flashing through them. Gentle? Yuanwan was also shocked, so she missed the obvious abnormality in the man's eyes. What surprised Yuanwan was that she didn't expect Tang Tang to actually like Si Yihan in reality, since he appeared not to get along with Si Yihan on the surface. From Tang Tang's point of view, Si Yihan was gentle. That's right, gentle. Si Yihan truly was very gentle back then. She randomly brought a child back to look after and requested him to pretend to be the child's father, and he agreed unconditionally. Back then, she never expected things to end up like this between them one day. Lord Azura and the little fellow were staring at each other. Yuanwan glanced at the older man, then the younger child, her expression a little dazed. In terms of looks, Tang Tang actually took after his mom more. His nose, mouth, chin, forehead, they all resembled her more. However, his eyes were extremely similar to Si Yihan's. Moreover, this child's typical personality and expressions. She already felt like he and Si Yihan truly looked like father and son back in China. Could Tang Tang and Si Yihan really be? She could be excused for being ignorant of Tang Tang's existence since she lost her memory. But why was the culprit, Si Yihan, also clueless about Tang Tang? After all, having similar eyes and personalities couldn't explain everything. If they delved into things, Tang Tang actually seemed more familiar with Emperor Ji. Emperor Ji, Lord Azura, may I speak with you privately? I'd like to discuss a deal with the two of you. Shen Tianqian's eyes shifted as he thought of something and requested the other two men with a mischievous chuckle. As a member of the four great clans, Shen Tianqian might act slovenly, but his influence originated in his financial resources, strictly speaking, so he was doubtlessly a person every faction wanted to befriend. Regardless of a person's faction, no one wanted to be on bad terms with a god of wealth, so everyone would show him some courtesy. Ji Shiran and Lord Azura were no exceptions. Ji Shiran genuinely replied, "Of course. Lead the way, young Master Shen." Lord Azura also followed them to the nearby clubhouse corridor. Yi Wanwan furrowed her brows at the three men's departing figures. What havoc was Shen Tianqian up to this time? Tang Tang fretted with worry. "Mommy, that Shen guy is definitely up to no good." In reality, Tang Tang's guess was rather accurate. When they reached an empty space, Shen Tianqian said to the two men in a conniving manner, "Please name a price. Emperor Ji, Lord Azura." "Name a price?" Ji Shiran asked. "What do you mean, young Master Shen?" echoed Lord Azura. One man was gentle like the spring breeze, while the other man was dark and chilly like a winter night, but they both spoke almost at the same time. Shen Tianqian smiled. "Ah, bosses, I can tell what type of women you two like with a single glance. A vicious and licentious woman like President Bai. She definitely isn't your type. Since it's like that, why don't you help me succeed? As long as you two cooperate with me and withdraw, the price is negotiable." Shen Tianqian's logic was simple. Since he wasn't successful going beautiful Miss Bai's route, then he'd take a different path. He was simply too clever. Ji Shiran, Lord Azura. Chapter 1626. How about it? This deal is a steal, right? Shen Tianqian asked confidently. Ji Shiran's eyes were downcast, amusement flitting through his gentle gaze. Shen Tianqian blinked. "Why are you laughing, Emperor Ji?" Ji Shiran replied, "How does young Master Shen know the type of women I like? The type you like is proper, noble, and elegant ladies from prestigious families, of course. Isn't that right?" Shen Tianqian looked doubtful. Ji Shiran retained his smile, but his tone conveyed that he wasn't joking at all. "It isn't." "Huh? What?" Shen Tianqian was stunned. You aren't telling me. You like women like by phone, right? That's illogical." Shen Tianqian didn't expect there to be someone with such a hardcore and unusual taste like him. And this someone was the gentle and graceful gentleman, Ji Shiran. However, Ji Shiran didn't admit or deny it. He isn't tacitly admitting it, right? It's fine. Calm down. There's one more still." Shen Tianqian finally managed to gather his wits after a day and anxiously turned to Lord Azura. What about you, Lord Azura?" "Apologies, I'm afraid I can't agree to this business deal." "What? You also won't agree? Why?" Shen Tianqian was puzzled. "The literal meaning," Lord Azura replied. After saying that, the man exchanged glances with Ji Shiran, coldness brimming from each other's eyes. "Damn, what do you mean by the literal meaning?" Shen Tianqian was about to break down. "It can't be the reason I think, right? Can both of these bosses? Has this world gone mad?" On the other hand, Yi Wanwan was trying her hardest to eavesdrop on Shen Tianqian's conversation with Ji Shiran and Lord Azura, but she was unfortunately too far away and couldn't clearly hear them at all. At that moment, a loud commotion was suddenly heard ahead of them. The packed crowd promptly parted to the sides, yielding a path. A group of guards wearing uniforms embroidered with the Nye family's emblem formidably charged in Yi Wanwan's direction, accompanied by the steward who blocked them earlier, along with Madame Nye, Worryless Nye, and Ye Linglong. Nameless Nye was also present, and the middle-aged man wearing the solemn expression next to him was probably Patriarch Nye. The whole Nye family had set out in full strength. Yi Wanwan raised her eyebrows, sensing that her impending doom had arrived. Tong Tong, worryless Nya, charged to the forefront and swiftly dashed toward Tang Tang, sweeping him into her arms. The little fella's brows deeply furrowed as he left Yi Wanwan's side. This woman was too strong, hurting him with her embrace. Quick, guards, seize this criminal, worryless Nya ordered severely. Yi Wanwan was surrounded by a group of Nya family guards in the blink of an eye. The steward with bandages wrapped around his wrist leaped forward and indignantly ran to Madame Nya and Patriarch, pointing at Yi Wanwan as he accused. Patriarch, madam, it's this woman who acted barbarically in front of the Nya estate and abducted little young master after violently injuring me. By phone, you're too malicious. I knew it. I knew you had ulterior motives for approaching my brother and Tang Tang. It's a shame my brother trusted you so much. How could you do such a cruel thing without even sparing a child? Worryless Nya sobbed and furiously shouted as she hugged Tang Tang, the embodiment of a grieving and furious mother. As for Nya Linglong, she merely stood next to Madame Nya placidly and aloofly looked down her nose at the surrounded Yi Wanwan. Chapter 16:27 Tang Tang. Tang Tang, are you all right? You scared Grandma. If anything happened to you, what would Grandma have done? Madame Nya was pale with fright and examined Tang Tang with incessant worry. Tang Tang hastily explained, Grandma, things aren't like what she said. Mommy didn't harm me. Madame Nya furrowed her brows, turmoil evident in her expression. She didn't say anything, but based on her expression, she didn't fully believe Tang Tang. After all, the steward's broken wrist couldn't be faked, and the surveillance did show that Yi Wanwan forcefully took Tang Tang away. Her actions were too impulsive. Next to them, worryless Nya donned a heartbroken and sorrowful expression. Mom, look at how distantly Tang Tang is addressing me. Yet, he's calling a completely unrelated woman Mommy. The steward spoke up timely. The fact that by phone injured me and abducted little young master from the Nya estate is the truth, and every guard present can testify to that. No matter how she's bewitched little young master, this is the undeniable truth. If we hadn't arrived in time, what could have happened to little young master after being kidnapped would be unimaginable. As the steward said that, he kept shooting looks at the nearby guards, and a few guards stepped forward and parroted something similar, verifying his words. Xiao Feng, what's going on? Madame Nya took to this girl as soon as they met and had a decent impression of her despite finding out she was the president of the Fearless Alliance. However, when the problem concerned Tang Tang, the situation was different. How could Tang Tang tolerate his mommy being interrogated and accused unjustly? He didn't wait for Yi Wanwan to respond before standing protectively in front of her. Grandma, Mommy acted to protect me because Steward Feng treated me disrespectfully. It was also my request for Mommy to take me outside. It has nothing to do with Mommy. Yi Wanwan watched the little fella using his tiny figure to stand in front of her and protect her, and her heart filled with warmth and tenderness, even though she was having a standoff with her biological parents. She couldn't reunite with them, and even had to tolerate being misunderstood and accused. Worryless Nya aggrievedly turned to Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya. Dad, Mom, Tong Tong's been utterly brainwashed by this woman. Worryless Nya impatiently tacked on the charge of brainwashing Tang Tang to Yi Wanwan, so it'd be useless no matter how Tang Tang spoke up for Yi Wanwan and would tarnish her name the more he defended her. Worryless Nya added, Dad, Mom, it was because of the recent restless and unsafe state of the independent state that I ordered the steward to take good care of Tang Tang and prevent him from running around wildly. You know this. The steward was just doing his job and obeying orders. However, this by phone. She clearly knew about this, but still took Tang Tang out without permission. Do I need to point out her motive any further? Madame Nya remained silent. So Nya Linglong imperceptibly glanced at worryless Nya, and the woman relentlessly added more fuel to the fire. Mom, she's by phone, the president of the Fearless Alliance. What kind of place is the Fearless Alliance? And who is by phone? She's the independent state's infamous criminal. How could you believe anything someone like her says? She clearly abducted Tang Tang deliberately. If anything happened to Tang Tang, how would I survive? I finally came back and returned to you and Tang Tang after great hardship. I won't allow anyone to harm my son. Dad, Mom, this woman absolutely can't be spared this time. Chapter 16:28. After hearing the indignant and furious words of worryless Nya, Madame Nya's expression finally wavered, and Patriarch Nya looked abnormally chilly and stern. He detachedly glanced at Yuan before walking toward worryless Nya, his stern expression easing up as soon as he looked at his daughter. Behave, worryless. You don't need to fret over this matter. Father will handle it. Dad. Worryless Nya looked incredibly touched. Nameless Nya couldn't stand back and listen anymore. He shot forward like an arrow. Damn, what nonsense are you spouting, worryless Nya? What was that about being vicious, having ulterior motives, and kidnapping? Are you saying I'm vicious and had ulterior motives and wanted to kidnap my own nephew? Worryless Nya reacted like she was terrified and shrank back like she was wronged. Brother, why would you think that? I wasn't talking about you. Nameless Nya was enraged. You weren't talking about me? Don't you know Bai Feng's my sworn brother? If you're doubting her, then you're doubting me. Did you think I was dead? Yuan felt rather conflicted about Nameless Nya's act of emotionally jumping out and standing up for her. She originally found it rather hard to accept that this idiot, Nameless Nya, was actually her biological brother, but this guy truly did treat her really well. Though his behavior was seriously too impulsive, he was truly a pig-like teammate who dragged one's feet. Yuan originally thought Nameless Nya would definitely believe her if she told him about her identity. Now, though, she was immensely glad she didn't tell him. This guy was really endowed in martial strength, but his personality was too impulsive. Counting on him to provide support in her offense was simply impossible. It would already be a blessing if he didn't ruin the plan. As expected, as soon as Nameless Nya spoke irrationally like that, Patriarch Nya slapped him on the back of his head and was angered. Punk, who are you shouting at? Who are you intimidating? Worryless is your true sister. Are you crazy? Just try intimidating her again. Nameless Nya clutched his head and jumped in anger. Damn, how did I intimidate her? I just spoke louder than usual. Can you be any more biased, Dad? Am I really your biological son? Punk, shut your mouth. I'll punish you later. All you do outside day and night is fool around. What kind of people are you befriending? Patriarch Nya ignored his idiotic son and aloofly looked at Yuan. President Fearless, it's an honor to meet you. The Nya family and the Fearless Alliance have always minded their own business, but this doesn't mean the Nya family is afraid of trouble. President Bai will have to give me an explanation for today's matter, or else I'm afraid you won't be able to leave. As he said that, the Nya family's guards walked forward and surrounded Yuan. Currently, Yuan still looked a little dazed as the words spoken by Patriarch Nya protectively on worryless Nya's behalf rang in her ears. She could tell that Madame Nya and Patriarch truly loved their daughter, worryless Nya, a lot. She had been misguided by the memory fragments in her dreams and always thought her parents were dead already. She didn't expect them to still be alive and love her so much. Unfortunately, she couldn't reunite with them under the current circumstances and even had to endure such hostility. This was all due to Nya Linglong, this adopted daughter of the Nya family, who she personally rescued years ago. She didn't expect to have nurtured a lurking enemy. Chapter 16:29. What? By phone. Do you have nothing to say? Where's your explanation? Why did you abduct Tang Tang? What did you mean by deliberately befriending my brother? Worryless Nya interrogated her aggressively. A sharp glint flashed through the steward's eyes. He said acidly, Miss Worryless, why else would she have done it? Bro Flat Top's infamous for her monstrous crimes, so she naturally kidnapped little young master for money. Or she's a monster and simply wanted to commit murder to vent her rage without even sparing a child. If it weren't for the fact that we locked down the independent state and located them here in time, the consequences would have been inconceivable. Worryless interjected. Dad, Mom, don't waste your words with her and seize her immediately. We absolutely can't spare a criminal like her. Patriarch Nia had always been an extremely protective person. Plus, Baifeng targeted his most precious grandson today, so he raised his hand and gave the order, signaling his guards to act. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes, but not a tinge of panic or anger appeared on her face. Instead, she acted like nothing was happening. In response to their accusations, Yi Wanwan nonchalantly said, I abducted Tang Tang? So what Miss Nia is saying is that I abducted Tang Tang today with Ji Shiran, Shun Tianshun, eldest young master of the Shin family, and Lord Azura of Azura? What? Worryless Nia was startled. What do you mean? What does this have to do with Brother Shiran, eldest young master Shun, and Lord Azura? Yi Wanwan's expression was unfazed as she started crafting her story. Didn't Mr. Stewart say it's dangerous outside? So I specifically found several people to accompany me and guarantee Tong Tong's safety. What? Do you not think the president of the Fearless Alliance, along with Emperor Ji, Shun Tianshun, and Lord Azura are enough to protect Tang Dang? The fake worryless Nia was so mad that she started laughing. Baifeng, I think you're acting like a cornered dog who's jumped over the wall. You're running your mouth off and spouting nonsense. How could Emperor Ji, Shun Tianshun, and Lord Azura be accompanying you? Can't you even find a more believable excuse? It was an extremely rare sight for these three men to be together, let alone accompany Baifeng together. Did she think they were random, ordinary civilians off the streets? However, just as worryless Nia said that, a round of footsteps was heard behind them. A second later, worryless Nia saw a familiar white figure calmly walking toward them and asking in his typical gentle tone, Uncle Nia, Auntie Nia, what happened? Why are you so angry? Ji Shiran. The man stood half a step in front of Yi Wanwan, a clearly protective pose. Worryless Nia and the others were surprised by Emperor Ji's coincidental appearance when they saw a man wearing a flamboyant pink dress shirt and a second man wearing a black suit also walking toward them. The man in the pink dress shirt was Shun Tianshun, while the other man was actually Lord Azura. Worryless Nia stared at Shun Tianshun, and especially Lord Azura, in shock. She'd only seen Lord Azura once at Shun Tianshun's breakup banquet, but she absolutely wouldn't mistake him. These three people actually appeared at the same time. When Nia Linglong, who was too contemptuous to speak the whole time, saw the three people, her eyes brightened and she softly said, Brother Shiran, you arrived at the right time. Baifeng kidnapped Tang Tang, but is trying to excuse herself by saying, Chapter 1630. 1630 Ji Shiran asked, saying what? Worryless Nia immediately continued in a mocking manner. Baifeng actually claimed she's with you, Brother Shiran, and young Master Shun, as well as Lord Azura. Don't you think that's ridiculous? Ji Shiran looked at Yi Wanwan, a smile spreading on his lips. He answered, President Bai was indeed traveling with us today. Disbelief instantly filled the fake worryless Nia's face. How's that possible? Shin Tianshun slipped out from behind them. Why not? President Bai's been with us the whole time with the child, and we were having a lot of fun. Why do we suddenly turn into kidnappers in the blink of an eye? Kidnap? Please. How could the child encounter that kind of situation in our company? I'd bury the culprit in gold bars. The only partner in crime left was Lord Azura. Yi Wanwan was confident Ji Shiran and Shin Tianshun would cooperate with her, but Lord Azura? Yi Wanwan discreetly smiled at the man while pleading, Please cooperate with me, boss. The man's eyes sparkled when he saw her smile, but immediately avoided her gaze. When Yi Wanwan looked over, all she saw was him turning his head and staying silent expressionlessly. He didn't expose her, but also didn't say anything, tacitly acquiescing to Ji Shiran and Shin Tianshun's lie. Of course, it was also possible that he didn't want to interfere with this matter and was uninterested in talking to them. The Nia family didn't expect three people like Ji Shiran, Shun Tianshun, and Lord Azura to all appear at the same time and were dumbfounded, unable to react. Nia Linglong knitted her brows tightly. Worryless Nia was incredulous. How could that be possible? She clearly wanted to kidnap Ting Tang. Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya also didn't anticipate the situation to turn out like this and became uncertain. Nameless Nya instantly made a racket. Talk. Keep talking. Say that my sister abducted Tang Tang. Oh wait, my sister abducted Tang Tang with Emperor Ji of the independent state, Shun Tianshun, an heir from the four great clans, and Lord Azura of Azura. That's a fucking cosmetic joke. Did you fucking want to kill me by laughing too hard so you could get my inheritance? Worryless Nyez and the stewards' faces turned ashen. Not to mention Ji Shiran and Shun Tianshun's identities. But Lord Azura wasn't considered official and wasn't accepted by the martial arts union. However, there was no way he would do something like kidnapping a child. Wasn't this equivalent to publicly trying to humiliate Azura by saying that? The fake worryless Nyez's eyes brimmed with suspicion. But Brother Shiran, young Master Shun, Lord Azura, why are you three together? The cold-faced and silent Lord Azura suddenly spoke up. Do I need to explain to you who I'm with? The fake, worryless Nya was immediately rendered speechless, and the man's haughty and terrifying gaze caused her to feel like she was insignificant like an ant. A chill ran down her back. He was truly the legendary Lord Azura indeed. He only spoke, but that was frightening enough already. Shin Tianshan found Lord Azura to be very handsome speaking like that, so he frantically nodded and echoed, Right, Lord Azura is right. Ji Shiran placidly replied, President, I brought Tang Tang to see me, and we ran into young Master Shun and Lord Azura on the way, so we traveled together. Shin Tianshan turned to Ji Shiran and also thought Emperor Ji spoke sensibly. Yes, Emperor Ji is right. Yuan speechlessly glanced at Shun Tianshan. It's truly scary to be uneducated. Thank goodness the other two supports were helpful. Chapter 1631. The matter came to a conclusion at this point. If it was only one person, perhaps there would still be room for suspicion, but Ji Shiran, Shun Tianshan, and Lord Azura's story all matched, so there was no way Bai Feng was lying. Could these three big shots all be testifying falsely on Bai Feng's behalf? That would be an absolute cosmic joke. Hence, worryless Nya and the confident steward and guards couldn't object at all. A cold glint flashed through Nya Linglong's narrowed eyes, but her face quickly regained its calm. She smiled and mediated the situation. So, it was actually a misunderstanding. It's great that everything's fine. President Bai, worryless was just worried about Tang Tang, and your reputation is typically truly. You won't take offense, right, President Bai? Yuan smiled sardonically. No wonder Nya Linglong managed to keep herself so hidden. She manages to say all the good and bad things with a few words. Damn! Wan kindly took Tang Tang out to have fun, but was splashed with a bucket of dirty water. Yet you're wiping everything clean with it's a misunderstanding? Nameless Nya furiously questioned. Yuan was touched. You should at least learn from young Master Shun. Can't you at least give a few bars of gold sincerely? Nameless Nya added. Yuan. Her feelings of being touched were as fleeting as the morning mist. Madame Nya glanced at her son in annoyance with a dark expression. Quiet. Madame Nya then turned to Yuan with unavoidable guilt on her face. Sorry, Xiaofeng. Yuan originally just wanted to act since she definitely didn't lose out in terms of acting, but when she actually spoke, genuine sadness infiltrated her. Godmother, it's fine. You were all just worried about Tang Tang. Madame Nya watched how the girl lowered her eyes and the sadness that flashed through them. And for some reason, pain gripped Madame Nya's heart fiercely. Worryless Nya didn't expect things to progress to this state. Her fists clenched into a death grip. A moment later, all the venom disappeared from the fake worryless Nya's face and turned to hurt. It's all my fault. If it wasn't because I didn't do my job as a mother, today's events wouldn't have happened. I've been back for so long, but Tang Tang still isn't able to accept me. The steward immediately glared at Yuan and cuttingly said, This isn't Miss Worryless' fault. She's little young Master Tongtong's real mother, but some irrelevant person appeared out of nowhere and acts so intimately with little young master every day. Just what is her ulterior motive? Why didn't I know bro flat top of the Fearless Alliance was so compassionate and liked children so much? Madame Nye sighed. They doted on this daughter the most, so they naturally ached upon seeing their daughter depressed every day due to her bad relationship with her son, their grandson. Nye Linglong was very satisfied by the steward's performance. She looked at Tang Tang and gently said, "Tang Tang, it's second sister who's your true mother, but you act more intimate with someone else other than your own biological mother. Don't you know how much you're hurting your mother?" If they looked at it lightly, Nye Linglong was reminding Tang Tang as a senior. If they looked at it seriously, she was implying Tang Tang was a traitor and helping an outsider instead of his own family. Tong Tong's face grew taut when he heard that. His normally bright and adorable eyes in front of Yi Wanwan lost all traces of warmth, and a chilly aura emanated from his figure. He looked up and emphasized every word. "You have no right to interfere in our Nye family's business. Mommy is certainly not someone else." Chapter 1632. As soon as Tang Tang spoke, an odd silence descended on everyone for a few seconds. Even Nye Linglong's perpetually smooth expression cracked on the spot. Shen Tianshan exclaimed in surprise. He finally figured out that this child was actually the son of worryless Nye, and Bai Feng was probably only his godmother. Bai Feng deliberately claimed this child was her son to make him give up. Who knew he would have such a bizarre and vulgar taste, and didn't care about this point at all? Earlier, this child was clearly a little harmless white rabbit next to Bai Feng, but it was like he turned into a completely different person, and maturity beyond his age brimmed from his eyes. TSK, he's truly the Nye family's grandson. Speaking of which, the identity of the biological father of the Nye family's precious grandson was still one of the 10 unresolved mysteries in the independent state. Tang Tang, Patriarch Nye was displeased with his grandson, whom he doted on and spoiled limitlessly for the first time ever. Madame Nye also furrowed her brows. "Tang Tang, you can't speak to your aunt like that." Nye Linglong acted like she didn't care and affably said, "Dad, Mom, I'm fine." Tong Tong's still young, so he still has much to learn. Worryless Nye immediately seized the opportunity to unleash her displeasure and raged. "Tang Tang, you went too far. I can forgive you for being disrespectful toward me and treating me like nothing, but your Auntie Linglong has cared for you so well these past few years. How could you talk to her like that?" As worryless Nye spoke, she glanced at Yuan Wan, and her words became more enraged. "You keep wasting your days with an outsider all day and follow her outside without care for your family's worries. Is a traitor like you really a member of the Nye family?" Yuan Wan's face chilled the second she heard the last part. Madame Nye furrowed her brows. She felt like her daughter spoke too harshly. However, one of them was her grandson while the other was her daughter who she still felt guilty toward, so she valued both equally and couldn't bear to admonish either of them severely. At that moment, Yuan Wan suddenly walked toward Ji Xiuran and took the cake Tang Tang made that day from his hand before walking back toward worryless Nye. What are you doing?" The fake worryless Nye was putting on the air of a mother and arrogantly yelling at them. But when she saw Yuan Wan approaching abruptly, the woman's scary and dangerous aura caused her to take a step back automatically. Nameless Nye wiped his face and couldn't help but swear inwardly. Damn, these two people's auras are on two completely different levels. Is such a cowardly woman really my sister? Boss Famous clearly resembled his sister more. When Patriarch Nye saw Yuan Wan murderously marching toward worryless Nye with a box in hand, his expression tensed instantly, and the steward and guards all became cautious. Yuan Wan stopped in front of worryless Nye and dropped the cake box at her feet without a word. "Ah!" The fake worryless Nye involuntarily screamed when she was splattered by a flurry of whipped cream. "Bai Feng, are you crazy? You've gone too far." Worryless Nye glanced at Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye as though she'd been wronged immensely. Everyone was expecting some kind of weapon and was prepared to act, but to their surprise, Yuan actually threw a cake, so they were reasonably flabbergasted. After doing that, Yuan expressionlessly said to the fake worryless Nya, "Look, worryless Nya," and the other people reflexively looked down at the cake smashed to the ground, puzzled. Chapter 1633. 1633 Yuan returned to Tong Tong's side before coldly saying, enunciating each word carefully. "This is the cake Tang Dang went to a cake shop to personally make today, because Tang Dang knew it was his mom's birthday in a few days. Tang Dang crafted every flower and every word on the cake with his own hands. He wanted to give his mom a surprise. You publicly admonished him without asking the reason and even said such heartbreaking words. You always keep blaming Tang Dang for not being close to you. But what about you, worryless Nya? Have you fulfilled your responsibility as Tong Tong's real mom?" With every word that Yuan uttered, the fake worryless Nya's face paled a shade, and her back inexplicably felt a chill when she heard Yuan call her worryless Nya. Nya Linglong's expression also shifted, and she darkly glanced at worryless Nya. Useless thing. An imitation was an imitation. Nya Linglong exerted so much effort paving so many paths for this woman, but worryless Nya still managed to suppress her like this. Tang Tang raised his head and looked at his mommy. His beautiful eyes, bright as the starry night, reddened a tinge. "Mommy is so angry because of me. Mommy really cares about me." Everyone could still faintly see the words, "Happy birthday, Mom," on the crushed cake. The moment Patriarch Nya and Madame Nya saw the cake, they realized they misunderstood Tang Tang, and their hearts were about to shatter from heartache when they saw their precious grandson's red eyes. The two elders didn't have the capacity to pay attention to anything else and hastily ran toward Tang Tang. Madame Nya pulled Tang Tang into her arms, brimming with guilt. "Tang Tang, sorry. It's Grandpa and Grandma's fault. We shouldn't have blamed you without understanding the matter first. Baby Tang Tang, Grandpa was also wrong. It's Grandpa's fault." Patriarch Nya, who was still maintaining his status as the head of the family moments ago, was completely wrought with panic at that moment and kept apologizing to his grandson anxiously like a normal grandfather. I didn't know." The fake worryless Nya was dazed from the counterstrike. She was about to defend herself when Madame Nya looked at her unhappily. "You acted too rashly this time, worryless. If you paid more heed, your relationship with Tang Tang wouldn't have deteriorated to this extent." Yuan glanced at the cake. "Sorry, you don't deserve this cake." If she directly unveiled the truth to her parents, the risk would be too high. Her best option was to make them realize slowly and guard against her. When Yuan saw Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya's reaction, she knew that the seed to make them dissatisfied with worryless Nya was successfully planted. However, this was merely the beginning. Alas, this absurd commotion finally drew the curtains. "Please excuse our trivial family matters," Madame Nya and Patriarch Ji said to Ji Shiran and the others before turning to Ji Shiran and saying, "Shiran, come visit our home more when you have time. Tang Tang misses you a lot." Ji Shiran's typically faint smile appeared on his face. Of course. The two elders apologized to Yi Wan again before leaving with Tang Tang in tow. After Yi Wan sent Tang Tang off, she turned around and discovered that Lord Azura had left already without her noticing while Shen Tianshan was called away by his assistant. "Ah, my assistant is hurrying me again. I got to go. You owe me a favor for today, beautiful miss." Shen Tianshan didn't forget to endear himself to her before leaving. Chapter 1634, and so, only Yuan and Ji Shiran remained. Yuan was fretting about how to interact with Ji Shiran due to her new identity, but Ji Shiran broke the silence first. "The antidote to the love goo is being developed right now. Don't worry," Ji Shiran reassured her. Yuan coughed. I won't worry. With you here, of course I won't worry." Then she suddenly asked furtively, "But, what if the antidote still isn't developed in 3 months? What are you planning to do?" There was only one cure left for the love goo aside from an antidote. Would Ji Shiran agree? As soon as Yuan said that, she regretted it. Why the hell did she ask that question so masochistically? However, she was really curious. Ji Shiran's slender fingers lightly brushed a loose strand of hair behind Yuan's ear, and he chuckled, his face akin to thousands of pear flowers blossoming. There isn't any what if. Amidst this strange silence, footsteps were heard behind them. Nameless Nier returned abruptly. President Bai, I almost forgot I had something to say to you. Ji Shiran nodded to Nameless Nier in greeting before excusing himself and leaving. After Ji Shiran left, Nameless Nier stood in front of Yuan and scratched his head. Sister Famous, don't take it to heart. That sister of mine probably got shocked somehow while on the outside these past few years, so there's probably some screws loose in her head. Even though Nameless Nier wasn't referring to her, Yuan was still speechless. Who would talk about their sister like that? Oh, right, Sister Famous. I actually wanted to see you today to tell you something very important. Nameless Nier said. Something important? Yuan raised her brows. What important thing could Nameless Nier possibly have to say to her? Nameless Nier looked excited for some reason. Sister Famous, didn't you get poisoned by the love goo earlier? Yuan's face darkened. This guy actually wanted to mention the love goo in front of her. Thanks to Captain Nier. Nameless Nier chuckled. You're welcome. Yuan was already used to this guy's shamelessness. Just what did you want to say? Nameless Nier eagerly said. Sister Famous, don't worry. Handling the love goo is a piece of cake. As long as there's money as the motivation. Blah. I mean, out of urgent concern for you, Sister Famous, Dead Man has developed an antidote already. Only the female has to consume it, and the goo will be cured. Yuan's brows lifted at that, but she looked unfazed. Oh, he developed the antidote? That's right. Aren't you especially excited? You're going to be even more excited. If you buy the antidote from us, Sister Famous, we'll give you a 20% discount. Yuan's face darkened completely. Can I kill him? Where did this fool get the nerve to ask me for money? Yuan artificially smiled. No need. Nameless Nier was startled. Huh? Why? Do you think it's expensive? He looked like he was controlling his pain and added, Then I'll give you a 30% discount. This is the biggest discount I can give you. It can't be any bigger. No need. Nameless Nier asked. Then what about 50% off? The price can't be any lower, or else I won't make my money back. I'm telling the truth. My dear brother, even if you give it to me for free, I don't need it. Thanks. Nameless Nier was taken aback by Yuan calling him dear brother, warmth enveloping his heart for some reason. He regained his wits moments later and asked in confusion, why? This was an antidote related to her life. Yuan's lips spread into a smile. Because I prefer the other method to cure the goo, Nameless Nier. Chapter 1635, Nameless Nier was dumbfounded. The other method to cure the goo. Nameless Nier finally realized what Yuan meant after half a day. Damn, but the child goo is planted inside of Lord Azura. Nameless Nier squeezed out. You're my sister indeed. So gutsy. Thank you for the compliment. I still have something to do, so bye-bye. Hey. Wait. Yuan asked, what is it? Ahem. Nameless Nier looked abashed for some reason. Sister Famous, can you? Yuan found Nameless Nier's embarrassment to be a rare sight and asked in amusement, Can you what? Can you call me brother again? Yuan. Nameless Nier hastily explained, Ahem, I just think that it's especially pleasant to the ear when you call me brother. Yuan's eyes softened, and she sardonically looked at the man. Call you brother? Sure. Each word will cost a bar of gold. Nameless Nier was flabbergasted. Damn, 1,000 in gold for each word? Are you robbing me? Yuan burst out laughing. Nameless Nier ground his teeth. Just wait. When I earn millions and millions in assets, I can hear it as many times as I want. Sure, I'll wait. As Yuan walked away, she waved at Nameless Nier. She still had to keep conquering her antidote. The streets in the surrounding area were packed today, so Yuan wagered that Lord Azura hadn't gone far. As expected, Yuan found the black car slowly inching forward in the crowd about 2 kilometers away. Yi Wanwan squeezed to the front of the car and blocked its path before knocking on the window. The window lowered, revealing Jiang Yan's glowering face. "Why is it you again?" Yi Wanwan ignored her and propped her arms sideways over the window, turning to the man sitting in the back. "My esteemed Lord Azura, are you free tonight? Want to have a drink together?" The man's face was concealed in the shadows and remained unclear. Jiang Yin exploded before Lord Azura could speak. "Bai Feng, you want to die?" This woman actually dared to hit on his lord. Who gave her the guts? Yi Wanwan glanced at Jiang Yin with a grin. A foreboding feeling arose inside Jiang Yin when he met that smile, but it was too late by the time he reacted. Yi Wanwan grabbed him by his neck and lamentably said, "Ah, if the esteemed Lord Azura isn't willing, I'm afraid this loyal subordinate of yours will have to lose his life." Jiang Yin never would have expected this woman to be shameless to this extent. She was the leader of a faction, to say the least. How could she do such a thing? Jiang Yin was about to erupt in rage. "Bai Feng, your imagination has gone wild. Do you think my lord would be threatened by such crude techniques by a shameless scoundrel like you? Even if I have to die, I wouldn't allow you to sully my lord." Before Jiang Yin could finish speaking, the back door opened, and the man's long and slender legs were revealed as he exited the car. Lord Azura expressionlessly glanced at the girl before his extremely glacial gaze landed on her hand touching another man. "Release him." Yi Wanwan smiled and obediently released Jiang Yang at once, pushing him into the car before skipping toward the man. "Sure." Jiang Yin helplessly watched as his lord relented to the vixen's demands because of him. He was extremely moved. He never would have expected to have such an important position in his lord's heart. Chapter 1636. The hall was suffocatingly silent, and darkness pervaded every corner without disturbance from a ray of light. A man gently swirled the burgundy wine in his wine glass with his snow-white slender fingers, an inscrutable smile hanging from his lips. Soon, the man lightly snapped his fingers, and a faint light lit up the hall. "President." An elderly man slowly entered and bowed at the man. "A guest is here." The man replied, "Bring her inside." "Yes, President." The man turned and left. Moments later, Nialing Long opened the door and entered, showing no unfamiliarity with her surroundings and naturally sitting down on the nearby couch. "Drink." The man turned his chair, facing her. His unfathomable and extremely wickedly seductive eyes seemed to contain the universe, but this pair of eyes also contained all kinds of indescribable emotions. "Thank you." Nialing Long accepted the glass of wine that a servant handed to her and took a sip. "Leave." The man waved his hand, and the various beautiful servants left the hall, softly closing the door behind them. "Ah, why are you here?" the man asked with a snort. "My plan ran into some roadblocks," Nialing Long nonchalantly replied. "Oh, you ran into roadblocks? What a novelty." The man smiled, staring at Nialing Long. "I'm interested in hearing about them. You should know about my original plan." Nialing Long's smile was extremely aloof. "I found a fake worryless Nye so that she could easily inherit the Nye family. It's unfortunate that I'm not blood related to the Nye family at all, or else it wouldn't have been so troublesome." "And then," the man asked with a smile. "Unfortunately, the real worryless Nye stuck her foot in the matter." Nialing Long smiled calmly. "Oh, did she recover her memory?" Excitement and brutality suddenly rushed out of the man's eyes. "No." Nialing Long shook her head. The man's excitement and brutality disappeared upon hearing that, leaving behind intense disappointment. "I didn't have any other objective coming here today, but to inform you," Nialing Long indifferently said. "I'm not a biological daughter of the Nye family, so I can't inherit the Nye family. I originally planned to have the fake worryless Nye inherit the Nye family, but it appears it won't be easy. If I don't end up succeeding, I can only use my own methods to act." "What's your method?" the man asked. Nialing Long's lips curled up into a chilling smile. "Destroy the Nye family and kill the genuine worryless Nye. An icy glint that seemed to have existed since the beginning of time arose in the man's eyes. As soon as he spoke, it was like the whole world's temperature dropped to below freezing. Nieling Long. The man stared at her. If you dare to touch a single strand of hair on her, a nefarious emotion enveloped his face. You will die miserably. Oh. Nieling Long abruptly stood up and stared at the president of the martial arts union before her, amused. You make me die miserably, huh? You? Do you want to try? The man smiled. I don't have time to waste words with you here. I'm merely informing you, not asking for your opinion. Nieling Long expressionlessly replied. Chapter 1637. 1637. I hope worryless Nia will remain safe and sound before she recovers her memory, the man said. What about after she recovers her memory? Nieling Long asked. After her memory recovers. The man's evil nature enveloped the room without restraint, and the chilling scar at the corner of his eye looked immensely ferocious. After she remembers everything, I will personally make her suffer in hell. Your taste is rather unique indeed. Nieling Long snorted. Who you need to pay heed to is nameless Nia, not worryless Nia, the man said. Nieling Long sneered scornfully at the mention of nameless Nia. There's no need to worry about my brother. He's obsessed with martial arts and is now wholeheartedly focused on using all sorts of crooked means to earn money. However, if my brother really becomes a hindrance, I don't mind eliminating him. Oh. The man pensively looked at Nieling Long. No one in the independent state dares to claim they can eliminate nameless Nia. Your brother can fight, even piece of shit. Yet, you say you can? You? Unfortunately, he has too many fatal weak points. Using martial strength is the most idiotic method to reap my brother's life, but there are simply too many other methods to kill him, Nieling Long said with a sneer. No need to startle the snake. You just need to utilize your brother's shortcomings and make his parents evict him from the Nia family. This way, the only heir will be the fake worryless Nia. As for Nia Tangxiao, he's too young and not worth mentioning. However, you must leave worryless Nia to me, the man said. My time is limited, so I can't guarantee whether she can recover her memory. I don't care about worryless Nia as long as she doesn't hinder me. Otherwise, I don't have that much time to wait for her to recover her memory. After saying that, Nieling Long left without looking back. After Nieling Long left the martial arts union's main hall, a man wearing a silver mask walked out from the back, his aloof voice ringing in the hall. Nieling Long is becoming harder to control. The martial arts union's president smirked, swishing the wine in his glass. Everything's going according to plan. It won't be long before it's time for the independent state to have a change in atmosphere. It's becoming more interesting. Other people are insignificant, but Nieling Long's strength is growing stronger, so we need to keep a watch on her. There's nearly no one in the independent state who can suppress her now, the masked man softly said. The president's lips turned up, full of maliciousness. When a person is too greedy, it's like a snake trying to swallow an elephant. For Nieling Long, if she wanted it, half the independent state would belong to her. If her infidelity grows too strong, I'll make her regret being born in this world. I hope so. The masked man sounded aloof. Currently, inside the Fearless Alliance, Yuanwan languidly leaned back in her office chair. After tonight, it would almost be time for her to return to Scarlet Flame's Academy, since her 2 A-rank missions were easily accomplished already. She hoped Big Dipper's terrible acting wouldn't be discovered by the people at Scarlet Flame's Academy, or else she would definitely come back and beat Big Dipper until he was dead. Yuan picked up the phone and looked at the messaging app she hadn't logged onto for a long time. Gong Su, Luo Chun, and others sent her a message every few days, mostly inquiring about her whereabouts. However, Yuan never responded to any of the messages and wouldn't contact them until she returned to China. Chapter 1638, carefully thinking back on it. It had been some time since Yuan arrived in the independent state from China, and everything that happened in the independent state was surreal and unrealistic like a dream. She went from being an average daughter of the Yi family in China to the terrifying demoness and boss of the independent state. She even discovered her true identity. These mere few months in the independent state changed her life. Yi Wanwan's urge to find her lost memories especially intensified after learning she was the second miss of the Nye family, worryless Nye. Once she regained her memory, she should be able to easily resolve every mystery. Just what happened back then? Why did she abandon Tang Dang, her parents, and the entire Nye family and leave the independent state? Who was Tang Tang's other parent? There were too many mysteries right now, and she was unable to discover the answer she wanted from this chunk of memory that didn't belong to her. Moreover, just what was the situation with the grandpa that occasionally appeared in her mind? Why did her grandpa lie to her and tell her that her parents passed away already? In the midst of Yi Wanwan's contemplation, she accidentally caught the silver-haired man's mood journal from the corner of her eyes. "Ah, little worryless, my wonderful disciple, where the hell did you go? Days without my disciple by my side are too boring." Yi Wanwan's eyes shifted, vaguely recalling this silver-haired man. Back then, if it weren't for this silver-haired man interfering back in China, her fate would have been too horrible to contemplate. "Little worryless," Yi Wanwan murmured. Could the little worryless that this silver-haired man referred to be worryless Nye? With the silver-haired man's martial arts skills, he absolutely couldn't be Chinese. It would make more sense if he was a resident of the independent state. On a whim, Yi Wanwan sent a message to the silver-haired man. "Are you there? Dugu Chiobai 1. This user is dead already. Burn some paper offerings if you need something. If you don't burn offerings, you won't have toilet paper when you use the restroom. Yi Wanwan. Dugu Chiobai 2. This user is dead already. Burn some paper offerings if you need something. If you don't burn offerings, you won't have toilet paper when you use the restroom." Yi Wanwan was speechless. Could this fool really be her master? Did he have to be so frightening? Yi Wanwan sent at least a dozen messages, but the silver-haired man didn't respond to any of them, as though he set up an automatic message response. She had no choice but to give up and wait for the silver-haired man to respond after seeing her messages. Sis phone. Big Dipper suddenly sprinted into the office. Yi Wanwan casually set her phone down and glanced at Big Dipper. "What is it?" "Sis phone. I heard you asked to meet with Lord Azura at a bar tonight." Big Dipper looked secretive. "How did you know?" Yi Wanwan was puzzled. "Of course I know. That Jiang Yin is spreading news everywhere that you're a demoness trying to seduce Lord Azura and even used Jiang Yan's life to threaten Lord Azura." Lord Azura was forced to agree unwillingly, Big Dipper answered. Yi Wanwan. She never expected Jiang Yin to be a blabbermouth. "Sis phone, you should forget it. Lord Azura isn't someone to be trifled with. Moreover, he doesn't like women and is utterly devoted to Emperor Ji. Their love is more solid than gold. We should allow Lord Azura and Emperor Ji to be together. If we offend both parties and they team up to pulverize our fearless alliance, we couldn't take the damage." Big Dipper seriously tried to persuade Yi Wanwan. Chapter 1639. 1639. Without waiting for Yi Wanwan to respond, Big Dipper said, "Oh, right. I remember something major that I just found out. Are you the Independent States' freaking handy messenger?" Yi Wanwan asked, "What is it?" Big Dipper approached Yi Wanwan with a secretive expression and whispered, "Sis phone. I heard Madame Nye and Patriarch Nye flew into a thunderous rage today and harshly chewed Nameless Nye out." Yi Wanwan was startled. How was this major? Wasn't this normal for Nameless Nye? When wasn't Nameless Nye being chewed out black and blue by Patriarch Nye and Madame Nye? You might have a misunderstanding about what a major matter means. Also, why do you keep probing into other people's business? Yi Wanwan nonchalantly said, "Sis phone, what should I do aside from scouting for news? Under your management, the Fearless Alliance is gradually returning to the right track, so I don't have much to do. Also, it's different this time. I heard Patriarch Nye almost wanted to beat up Nameless Nye with his own hands. I think it was due to second Miss Nye too." Big Dipper responded after a moment of thought. Yi Wanwan's brows furrowed lightly. Second Miss Nye was that fake worryless Nye. "Sis phone, Do you think it's because they're fighting over the Nye family's inheritance? Big Dipper grumbled. A casual remark sounded significant to a suspicious listener. Big Dipper's casual illogical remark held a different flavor to Yi Wanwan's ears. Fighting over the family property was unlikely, but if it was fighting over the inheritance and control of the Nye family in the future, Yi Wanwan's eyes glinted. That impersonator was discovered by Nye Linglong, so she had to be following Nye Linglong's lead. Nye Linglong must have found an impersonator to enter the Nye family for a reason. Just what kind of secret objective did she have? Nye Linglong didn't have any blood relations to the Nye family, so the Nye family's right of inheritance definitely wouldn't have anything to do with Nye Linglong in the future. This way, the only people who could gain the right of inheritance were worryless Nye and nameless Nye. As for Tang Tang, he was too young and wouldn't be under consideration. Yi Wanwan trembled. Nye Linglong couldn't inherit the Nye family since she was unrelated by blood. But if she found a fake puppet, worryless Nye, who was obedient to her, it would be an entirely different matter. Worryless Nye and nameless Nye were the only legitimate heirs of the Nye family. However, as long as nameless Nye remained in the Nye family, he would remain an extremely uncertain factor, since he was the eldest son of the Nye family, and there was an extremely high chance that the future right of inheritance would end up in nameless Nye's hands. Nye Linglong probably wouldn't permit this kind of thing to happen. Hence, as long as nameless Nye was eliminated from the family, the Nye family's right of inheritance could only end up in the hands of the fake, worryless Nye in the future. After the impersonator took over the family, it would be the same as Nye Linglong gaining control of the Nye family. Nye Linglong. A cold glint surfaced in Yi Wanwan's eyes. If it was really as she thought, with nameless Nye's personality, it was seriously too simple for Nye Linglong to get rid of nameless Nye and get his name stricken off the Nye family's books. Yi Wanwan naturally didn't doubt nameless Nye's martial strength, but in terms of schemes and shrewdness, he couldn't match Nye Linglong and the fake worryless Nye. He was a preschooler at most. Chapter 1640. Late at night. After Yi Wanwan changed into a light and comfortable outfit, she went to keep her appointment. Moments later, Yi Wanwan stopped in front of the entrance of a secluded alley. At the other end of the alley was a shabby, unremarkable metal door with the graffiti letters LD casually on it. LD stood for Lost Demon. This was the Independent State's most famous nightclub. Yi Wanwan pushed open the creaking door. A wave of ear-shattering music ambushed her in the face, and the dazzling lights sent her vision blurring. It was akin to a whole nother world. This happened to be the busiest time for the nightclub, and everyone was reveling and wildly screaming. Yi Wanwan randomly found a corner to sit down and waited for her date, bored to death. She headed out early, so there was still half an hour before their agreed-upon time. Whether it was Si Yihin or Lord Azura, Yi Wanwan found it hard to imagine either of them coming to a place like a nightclub. It was off-putting no matter how she thought about it. Thankfully, although her methods might be a bit shameless, they came in handy. Since Lord Azura agreed, he wouldn't go back on his word. As expected, when it came to the meeting time, Yi Wanwan saw a familiar figure appearing at the entrance. The man was wearing a prim, white English-style dress shirt and light tan vest with a black trench coat on top. Amidst the people wickedly reveling at the bar, his elegant and reserved demeanor was truly too inharmonious and too eye-catching. Yi Wanwan couldn't help examining the man from head to toe, and she clicked her tongue. She was about to stand up to inform him of her whereabouts when she saw a beautiful and sexy woman blocking his path. "Little big brother, let's have a drink." The woman sensually pressed closer while running her hands through her gorgeous curly hair. The man coldly stared at the woman who suddenly appeared in front of him, unfazed as though he was looking at an inanimate object. The beautiful woman was shocked by such a gaze, but became more interested instantly. Yi Wanwan was exasperated as she watched this scene from afar. Tisk, he had only walked 2 steps inside this place, yet he became a target instantly. That face of his was truly a charming catastrophe. Not many people knew Lord Azura's true appearance, so the woman naturally didn't recognize him and wanted to hit on such a superb quality man. Yuan focused her vision and surprisingly realized the beautiful woman had a familiar face. She seemed to be the hall master of a division hall of the Fearless Alliance. Jiang Yin, following behind Lord Azura, immediately blocked the woman like a door god. Insolence. Jiang Yin didn't hold any tender feelings for the fairer sex, and a murderous aura brimmed from his eyes. Scram. Ah, you're rather arrogant. No one at LD Bar dares to speak to me like this. The beautiful woman's smiling expression darkened instantly, and she drew a whip from her waist. As soon as some nearby guests saw that signature dragon-boned whip, terror surfaced on their faces. She was a division hall master of the Fearless Alliance, the He Gem and Flower, Luo Linna. Did this man want to die? Why did he dare to provoke this He Gem and Flower? Jiang Yin had a stifled fury boiling inside him for ages and didn't have any patience now, so he immediately attacked. The watching guests noticed the commotion and eagerly watched the show. Let's make a bet. Can the He Gem and Flower bring a beauty home tonight? Is that even a question? Is there a man the He Gem and Flower can't sink her claws into? A swish pierced the air, and Luo Linna's whip slashed toward Jiang Yin lightning fast. Jiang Yin dodged to the side and used his palm to strike one of her vital pressure points. Chapter 1641. How could Lord Azura's personal bodyguards be inept? The woman was careless and was hit in the chest. Although she avoided it in time, she probably still sustained heavy damage. The woman didn't expect the other man to be so skilled, and she lost all traces of carelessness. The duo entered a fierce fight. A group of people was boisterously watching the show from the biggest booth in the center of the nightclub. Some higher-ups and core members from the Fearless Alliance were having a gathering at the club tonight. Earlier, Luo Linna said she saw a superbly handsome man and promptly approached the man to hit on him. This group was currently betting on how many seconds it would take for Luo Linna to get the man this time. Ha! Hall Master Luo ran into a hard-to-crack nut. That's right. After all, Hall Master Luo managed to get previous men with her looks alone. Who's that man? How come I've never seen him before? He even brought a personal bodyguard with him to a nightclub. Which family's young master is he? Who cares which family he came from? He'll definitely be our Hall Master Luo's man tonight. Ha. What are you playing that makes you all so happy? At that moment, Big Dipper and Seven Star entered from the main entrance on the other side of the club. Ha! Hall Master Luo took a liking to a handsome guy, but failed in her seduction, so she started fighting with the guy's personal bodyguard and plans to get him forcefully, a member explained. Wow, so explosive. Quick, give me a handful of seeds. Big Dipper hastily grabbed a handful of seeds and started watching the show. Meanwhile, Seven Star already caught clear sight of the person Luo Linna provoked. His expression changed, and a headache crept over him. Shit, how could such an entertaining show be shit? Big Dipper rolled his eyes at Seven Star before returning to the fight. At that moment, a light swept over the commotion, illuminating the faces of Lord Azura and Jiang Yin. Hack. Big Dipper started choking when he saw the faces, scared shitless. Seven Star disdainfully started clapping Big Dipper's back. Fuck. Linna wants to die, Big Dipper painstakingly said after finally spitting out the seed stuck in his throat. The other members of the Fearless Alliance remained ignorant and continued to watch the show excitedly. They even started hollering, Hall Master Luo, go! Bang him! Big Dipper looked at those people with sympathy and inwardly lit candles for each of them. Today, he discovered Sis Fong had a date with Lord Azura, so he came to protect her. However, he found out a group of brothers from the Fearless Alliance was also having a gathering there tonight, so he went to them and sat down. He never would have expected these punks to stir up this kind of trouble. What should we do? Has Sis Fong arrived yet? Big Dipper asked. Seven Stars swept over the room, his gaze locking onto a certain spot. She's here. It's over. Little Nana, I'll burn some incense for you during Qingming from now on. Swish. At that moment, during the intense fighting, the end of Luo Linna's whip accidentally curled toward Lord Azura. "My lord!" Jiang Yana exclaimed in rage. However, the man stood in his spot without moving, not even blinking his eyes. A second later, before Jiang Yin could block it, a slender hand unflinchingly caught the violent whip. As Yuan clutched the whip, she met Lord Azura's gaze and didn't forget to greet him with a grin. "Hey, Lord Azura." As expected, Yuan didn't get a response from the man, but she didn't care. Chapter 1642. 1642. Oh wow. Awesome. There's actually someone fighting over a man with Lin Na. It's going to be a good show. Some ignorant Fearless Alliance members who didn't see Wan's face shouted excitedly. Who? Who dares to steal my man? Do you want to die? Luo Lin Na roared while forcefully pulling on her whip. Yuan finally looked away from Lord Azura and released the whip before turning around. She hooked her arms around Lord Azura's arm while looking at the beautiful Hall Master in front of her with a nonchalant smile curling on her lips. She uttered, "Me." The second Yuan turned around, the color drained from Luo Lin Na's face and her whip loudly dropped onto the floor in shock. She almost knelt down reflexively. President. Shit. Why is it president? Luo Lin Na never would have expected the newcomer to be her own boss and was stupefied. In the distance, Big Dipper saw Luo Lin Na's expression and inwardly mocked. Ha, only this and you're shocked? If you knew who you were hitting on, would you be terrified to death? President, forgive me. I didn't know it was your esteemed self. Luo Lin Na hastily bowed and pleaded in fright while carefully peering at the man next to Yuan. She didn't know if she saw things wrong due to the dim lighting, but the man's previously blank eyes looked like a flame had ignited inside of them after the president latched onto his arm. Yuan saw Luo Lin Na secretly looking at the man next to her and wore a gentle smile on her face as she coolly said, Lin Na, if you look at him again, your president, might do something brutal. I was wrong. I didn't do it on purpose. Forgive me, President." Luo Lin Na quickly lowered her head in fright and didn't dare to take a second look. Wow, this is terrifying. The man's cool gaze softened a little as he watched the girl's little threatening expression. Good girl, Yuan smiled and started to lead the man inside. Detecting the man wanting to pull his arm away, Yuan said, "Esteemed Lord Azura, please understand the extent to which you can attract trouble. I'm not trying to take advantage of you, all right? But if I don't do this, I'm afraid you're going to take all night, and you still won't be able to walk a few steps." Lord Azura, Jiang Yin behind them spat out, "Vixen, this was clearly an excuse to take advantage of my lord. All members of the Fearless Alliance are birds of a feather." Under the dim lighting, the amused guests watched as a woman abruptly appeared and immediately took away the man of the hegemon flower, Luo Lin Na, in front of her. The majority of the guests didn't recognize Yuan though. Luo Lin Na had a fiery and explosive temper, but she watched her man being stolen away and didn't do anything. Instead, she stood there fearfully and didn't even dare to protest. Fuck me. What's going on? Just who's that woman? I don't know. The other guests didn't understand the situation, but there was no way the group from the Fearless Alliance didn't recognize their own president. After taking a good look at the woman, the previously hollering spot transformed into a graveyard, silent without a decibel of sound. What did they just see? Yuan was waiting intently for Lord Azura earlier and didn't know many people from the Fearless Alliance, so she didn't notice her own people here. After seeing Big Dipper and Seven Star, she finally realized which faction was in the center. She naturally had to go over and greet them. The moment Yuan arrived, the previously crazily partying group straightened their backs in a wave like a group of grade schoolers seeing their teacher. President, have a seat. President. Yuan nodded her head, but waved her hand with a smile. No need. Your president is very busy tonight, so do as you please. Chapter 1643 HM. I'll be very busy tonight. Why, do these words sound wrong? Sent off by gazes from the Fearless Alliance members, Yuan led the man to a corner in the bar and sat down. As for Jiang Yin, he guarded the table without straying an inch like a door guard. Yuan didn't mind being strictly guarded, though. She'd still do whatever she needed to do. Nearby, the Fearless Alliance members relaxed with lingering trepidation. I was scared to death, right? I didn't expect to run into the president here. Luo Linna was on the brink of tears. She hastily picked up a glass and chugged it down to soothe her shock. I'm the one who's scared to death, all right? It's an utter miracle that I managed to return. After all, she was basically trying to steal food from the mouth of a tiger just now. Big Dipper chuckled and threw some seeds into his mouth. You're scared to death just like that? If you knew who you were hitting on just now, wouldn't your spirit disperse? Oh, the man I was hitting on just now. Who is he? Luo Linna didn't understand. Big Dipper winked. Guess. Luo Linna was exasperated. Say, Brother Big, don't leave me hanging in this kind of situation. Big Dipper laughed. You're better off clueless. I'm really afraid something would happen to you from fright. Luo Linna drank some whiskey and raised her brows. Just who is he? If it wasn't because the president took a liking to that man, there really aren't many men I wouldn't dare to hit on in the independent state, all right? Unless he's Lord Azura. She randomly added the last part. Big Dipper bluntly stared at her and gave her a meaningful look before airily saying, Congratulations, you answered right. Peach, a coughing fit took Luo Linna by storm, and her voice was about to pierce through the ceiling. What did you just say? Big Dipper had a smug expression. I'm saying, the person you just hit on was Lord Azura. Are you fucking messing with me? He's Lord Azura? Luo Linna doubted whether this was the truth. Big Dipper rolled his eyes. Please, I personally saw myself earlier. Could I have the wrong person? Damn, isn't the president messing around too far this time? Wait, no, that's not the point. Luo Linna trembled fiercely, her face ghastly pale. How about I use my whip and hang myself? Heavens, that man is Lord Azura? Seriously? Is the president meeting Lord Azura to discuss official business? Ah, forget it. How could it be official business? Who would ask someone to meet at a bar this late at night for official business? Let's not fool ourselves. Ahem. Oh, what in the world is our president saying? What is it? Everyone curiously stared at the table in the corner after their shock subsided. At the same time, Yuan looked at the man in front of her with a smile. It's been a long time since we've met, esteemed Lord Azura. Did you miss me? The music from the stage suddenly became ear-shatteringly loud, so the man only saw her lips moving but didn't understand what she said, causing his brows to furrow slightly. Yuan acted like she expected this and suddenly leaned in close to the man's ears and repeated her words. It's been a long time since we've met, esteemed Lord Azura. Did you miss me? The girl's sudden approach led to her warm breath washing over his ear. Her voice was soft and sweet. The man felt like a jolt of electricity was gushing through his nerves, and his back instantly stiffened, causing him to automatically lean back. Chapter 1644 behind them. Jiang Yan's eyes were about to bulge out. However, Yuan only spoke a sentence after leaning over, and she swiftly pulled back. So, Jiang Yan managed to hold back. He still fumed incessantly, though. The volume of the music abated a little, and the man quietly watched the girl speaking, fire and ice brewing in his eyes. Do you treat every man like this, President Bai? Yuan supported her chin with her hand and sipped from her glass. With raised brows, she asked, Can I take this as the esteemed Lord Azura getting jealous? The man was silent for a moment before evading the question. Why did you ask to meet with me? Yuan sounded shocked. A girl like me asking you to meet at a bar this late at night. What else could it be for? Could it be I'm not obvious enough in my pursuit of you? Lord Azura, Jiang Yin. Vixen. Yuan had a regretful expression. All right, fine. It's my fault. I should be more obvious. After saying that, she stood up abruptly and walked toward the stage. Yuan stopped next to the DJ and quietly said something to him. The DJ bobbed his head, and the music in the club swiftly changed to another song. Yi Wanwan picked up the microphone and ascended the stage, taking into her arms a guitar borrowed from the lead singer. "Good evening, everyone." Yi Wanwan sat down on the tall stool placed on the stage and smiled. "Oh." The Fearless Alliance members in the center booth whistled and cheered. Shit, shit, shit. What's the president doing? She's my sis foam indeed. I just knew something big would happen tonight. My decision to come here to watch over her was right. I'm going to sing a song for a slow-witted friend." As Yi Wanwan said that, her dazzling eyes glanced at a certain spot below the stage under the resplendent spotlight. Oh, 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 oh. Damn, damn, damn. Is the president going to confess to Lord Azura in public? But that's Lord Azura. The president wants to be launched into outer space. My lord, this by phone. She's simply too insolent. Jiang Yin was on the brink of exploding from rage, but unfortunately his master didn't say anything, so he couldn't act rashly. The man's unfathomable eyes were solely focused on the girl on the stage. The girl gently strummed the guitar to tune the sound. This was a song she learned by chance back in China. Thinking about it now, it was rather fitting. An energetic and lively prelude started playing. Yi Wanwan held the guitar and started singing the first line with closed eyes while concentrating. You have an allure that shatters the distance of time and space. I know, I can't let you go. I can't forget you. Memories of you haunt every city I go. The girl wore a clean and simple outfit with her hair pulled into a simple ponytail and sat on the stool casually, her fair, jade-like skin seeming to glow underneath the spotlight. The moment she closed her eyes, it was like all the light in the world fell on her. Memories of you haunt every city I go. Even if the moon clashes with the earth, I want to be with you. No matter how wonderful this world is, it's no match for your perfection. When Yi Wanwan sang that last line, she opened her eyes, and her gaze shot toward a certain corner of the bar like the starry sky shedding light to the night. The he gem and flower, Luo Lin Na, clutched her pounding heart with flushed red cheeks. Fuck me. I'm shot. Boss is too good at flirting. The alley after a shower, the roses blooming everywhere. How beautiful is our love, like the lingering rays of the setting sun. Lean against my shoulder, and you can drift to sleep. Under the stage, no one noticed that the perpetually chilly like an iceberg man had a softness in his eyes never seen before. Chapter 1645. 1645, what stirred the man wasn't only the song she chose and her voice. It was the loneliness that flitted through her smiling eyes after she sang, Lean against my shoulder, and you can drift to sleep. Under the stage, Seven Star watched as the room became more and more out of control and severely glanced at the jeering Big Dipper. Are you done? Big Dipper finally remembered that he came to watch Sis Phone to make sure she stayed out of trouble and said with embarrassment, I'll just watch a little longer. A little longer. After all, this kind of scene only happened once every millennium. Seven Star didn't hesitate and directly picked Big Dipper up by the back of his lapels and chased after Yi Wanwan. Outside the club, after disconnecting from the clamor and blinding light, the world returned to tranquility. Yi Wanwan felt a bit dizzy. No way, right? I just drank a few sips, so why am I drunk already? Could it be that it's not the wine that intoxicates, but the drinker who gets himself drunk, and I'm drunk from beauty? Yi Wanwan grumbled in a daze. Jiang Yin, does this woman's every word have to take advantage of my master? My master is sacrificing too much for me. Under the moonlight, Yi Wanwan stood under the eaves of the building and stared at the man in front of her. She placed her hand on his shoulder and asked, My esteemed Lord Azura, do you still need me to be more obvious? I don't understand what you mean, President Bai. The man expressionlessly replied. Yi Wanwan smiled. We've circled around each other for so long, and both of us are well aware. So do we really need to keep competing with our acting skills? Lord Azura stared at her smile, her singing still ringing in his mind. He looked a bit absent-minded and dazed. Yi Wanwan caught his inattention, and as she spoke, her hand on his shoulder imperceptibly started drifting toward his hair. That was right, This was one of her main objectives tonight. When she discovered her true identity, what she wanted to know the most was the identity of Tong Tong's biological father. Just a little bit more. Damn, why does this guy have such good quality hair and doesn't have a strand of loose hair? She couldn't find an opportunity earlier, so she had no choice but to try her luck while he was distracted. Yi Wanwan didn't dare to forcefully pluck a strand since she'd definitely be discovered, so she secretly patted around. Yet she didn't obtain a single strand. Moreover, the man seemed to have noticed her odd actions and caught her wrist when she was about to try a second time. He stared at her, as though he was trying to ascertain her objective. Ahem. Hee. Lord Azura, you seriously have nice hair. I just wanted to feel it for myself. It's truly very soft. Yi Wanwan fibbed without missing a beat. This was the last straw for Jiang Yen. Vixen, enough already. You wanted to meet up with my lord, and my lord came. If you dare to act so insolently toward my lord again, don't blame me for being uncivil. An unusual cold glint flickered through Yi Wanwan's eyes. Uncivil? Sure, you could try. The moment her words landed, a boisterous voice was heard from behind. Hey, who are you acting uncivil to? If you dare to touch a hair on my Sisfang's head, the Fearless Alliance will tear you apart to your bones. Seven Star immediately glared at him. Only then did Big Dipper realize something amiss. All right, he clearly came to dissuade Sisfang. So why did he suddenly start helping a tyrant perpetuate wicked deeds and forcefully rob a common man? Wait, how's the other person a common man? He's a great devil, all right? How sinful. Sisfang keeps adding fuel to the fire. If it weren't for the fact that Lord Azura was poisoned by love goo and couldn't kill Sisfang, the Fearless Alliance might have turned into a pile of ashes already. Chapter 1646. Jiang Yen intently stared at Big Dipper and Seven Star with a deep frown. This vixen actually gathered a group to snatch my master. For me, my master truly. Jiang Yen was deeply moved. You want to die? A cold glint flashed through Jiang Yan's eyes as he pointed at Big Dipper and shouted. Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Wait, who the fuck are you talking about? Who wants to die? You door god, you guard dog. Huh. Big Dipper indignantly cursed at Jiang Yan livid. Seven Star glanced at Big Dipper. Do you still remember what you came here to do? Big Dipper was startled. Oh, we seem to have gone off track. Aha. Even if you're a guard dog, you're still a good dog. Misunderstanding, it's all a misunderstanding. Big Dipper swiftly walked toward Yi Wanwan and said with a grin, Sisfang, you drank too much. Let's hurry and return. There's still many matters waiting for you to handle back at the Alliance, Sisfang. Big Dipper grabbed Yi Wanwan's arm and tried to leave this place. However, the second Big Dipper touched Yi Wanwan's hand, he felt like ice encased his entire body, and he involuntarily shivered. Ooh, there's a murderous aura. Who wants to sneakily attack me? Big Dipper cautiously examined his surroundings, but there was nobody aside from Lord Azura expressionlessly staring at him. Yi Wanwan was exasperated. Why did this fool come over here? He was too tactless. Couldn't he tell she wasn't done with Lord Azura yet? She still hadn't obtained a piece of Lord Azura's hair. The other purpose could be forgotten, but this was at least an S-rank mission at Scarlet Flame's Academy. Next to them, Seven Star sighed and slowly walked up. He grabbed Big Dipper by his lapels and quickly dragged him to the car. Master, we should go. There's something wrong with this vixen's head. Who knows what she could do later? Jiang Yin carefully said to Lord Azura. Lord Azura expressionlessly turned around and left. After entering the car, Si Yin's brows locked together. The current situation had progressed in the complete opposite direction of what he had hoped. If this continued, it would be almost impossible to make Yi Wanwan leave the independent state and return to China. It wasn't that there weren't any solutions to make Yi Wanwan return to China. He would need to restore his identity as Si Yin. At that moment, Seven Star, Big Dipper, and Yi Wanwan arrived at the Fearless Alliance's building. After Yi Wanwan exited the car, she headed straight inside the headquarters. Good evening, President. The Fearless Alliance members on guard that night immediately straightened their backs and plucked up their energy, saluting Yuan. Yuan greeted the guards and headed to her office. Big Dipper and Seven Star also entered a moment later. Sis Feng, it hasn't been peaceful in the independent state lately. We should avoid provoking people from prison, Big Dipper hastily said to Yuan as soon as he entered the office. Prison? Yuan was startled. Who's from prison? Lord Azura. Azura is one of the 3 core factions of prison. Big Dipper said. Yuan, who needs a reminder from you? Of course I know. Sis Feng, when will you go back to Scarlet Flames Academy? Seven Star asked her. The mission was finished now, so it was almost time for her to return to Scarlet Flames Academy. Within the next 2 days, Yuan replied. Before returning to Scarlet Flames Academy, she still had something to take care of, but it would take 2 days at most. Chapter 1647, Sis Feng, I received a piece of news, but I don't know whether to tell you. Seven Star looked hesitant. Speak. Yuan frowned lightly. Had Seven Star mixed with Big Dipper too long? Why was he so fussy now? After Sis Feng disappeared from the Fearless Alliance, a few of our Fearless Alliance's previous core members were held captive due to war. Over the years, the elders have sent members from our intelligence department to investigate their whereabouts. The newest information came yesterday and said they were in China, Seven Star said slowly. Yuan turned pensive when she heard that. Shortly after she came to the Fearless Alliance, she heard the Fearless Alliance triggered many wars after Bro Flat Top disappeared, and some core members were captured. No further words were heard from them. Who could have expected those captured core members from the Fearless Alliance would show up in China? It's an utter humiliation. Big Dipper was incensed. How glorious is our Fearless Alliance? How could our core members be captured? Seven Star glanced at Big Dipper. If it weren't for those core members back then, the Fearless Alliance might not have been able to hold on until Sis Feng returned. Big Dipper laughed in embarrassment and quickly said, What I meant was that those people who captured our Fearless Alliance's core members were simply too shameless. They should be hacked into 1,000 pieces and killed. Do you know which faction did it? Yuan asked Seven Star. The Fearless Alliance made too many enemies back then and fought with countless factions, so we don't have any leads anymore, Seven Star answered truthfully. China, Yuan murmured. She coincidentally also planned on returning to China soon. Her current position inside the Fearless Alliance was very stable, so it was time to make some advances. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good if she held the title of the Fearless Alliance's president without contributing anything to the Fearless Alliance itself. She herself would be embarrassed. Okay. Yuan slapped the table. Big Dipper jolted in fright and turned to her in shock. Prepare. Help me gather the strongest elite members of the Fearless Alliance so that they can go to China with me. Yuan ordered with a smirk. Big Dipper was startled. Huh? Go to China? Sis Feng, China is thousands of miles from the Fearless Alliance. It will be fine if our enemies are small in number, but if they aren't, I'm afraid something might go wrong. The most troublesome thing is that we aren't familiar with China, Big Dipper hastily explained. Yuan, you aren't familiar, but I'm familiar. You don't have to worry about that. I have plans in the works. Just do as I say, Yuan said. Upon seeing that Yuan had made up her mind, Big Dipper could only helplessly nod and agree. After all, Sis Feng gave her orders already. What else could he say? The next day, in the early morning, Yuan went to the Nye residence to see Tangdang and bid farewell to Madame Nye. After all, after returning to Scarlet Flames Academy, her next step would be to head to China and accept the mission of eliminating traitor mercenaries there while she was at it, so it might be a while before she returned. Inside the Nye residence's living room, Yuan served Madame Nye a cup of tea. Next to them, worryless Nye coldly watched Yuan with contempt brimming from her eyes. Wan, I heard you're attending Scarlet Flames Academy? Madame Nye asked Yuan while looking at her. Chapter 1648. Mom, I've been enrolled for many days, Yuanwan answered with a smile. Nice. Madame Yin nodded with satisfaction. Worryless and Linglong both studied at Scarlet Flames Academy. Studying at Scarlet Flames Academy isn't too connected to your background and status, but if you run into any problems there, just use Worryless name. Sure. Yuanwan nodded with compliance. It was 12 by the time she left the Nye residence. Yuanwan didn't linger since she planned to go to Rose of Death's base and see how its formation was going. Rose of Death had been established for a while, and she left its management to little Lolita and Luiying without much hovering. The second she stepped through the main gates and left the Nye grounds, Nameless Nye popped up from nowhere. Sis, Nameless Nye called her. Yuanwan halted in her steps and turned around. Nameless Nye looked a bit disheveled, and his state of mind didn't seem too great. What happened? Yuanwan furrowed her brows lightly. She heard Nameless Nye had an argument with his family. Not much. I just had a fight with Dad and Mom. Nameless Nye replied with a sigh. What was the reason? Yuanwan asked. It's nothing. Just some tiny, trivial matters, Nameless Nye answered. Since Nameless Nye didn't seem too willing to explain in detail, Yuanwan didn't pursue the matter. Considering Nameless Nye's personality, it would be very difficult to make him loosen his lips unless he wanted to talk. Say, after Dad and Mom pass from this world, who will inherit the Nye family? Yuanwan asked with a meaningful look at Nameless Nye. She absolutely couldn't clearly talk about some matters with Nameless Nye considering his personality, but it wasn't a bad option to go at it in a slightly roundabout way. Nameless Nye supported his elbow with one hand and rubbed his chin with the other pensively. A moment later, he asked with displeasure, Sis, you have an unlucky mouth. Dad and Mom are perfectly fine. Why would they die, Yuanwan? The saying a weak teammate does you more harm than a strong enemy was right. Having a teammate like Nameless Nye was seriously too harmful. I was just making an analogy. What are you so aggravated about? Yuanwan glanced at him. If it's an analogy, then after Dad and Mom die, the Nye family. I'm the oldest, so of course I'll be the one inheriting it. Nameless Nye boasted with certainty. And Yuanwan nodded lightly and asked with a smile, What if you didn't inherit it? Who'd inherit it then? What if I didn't inherit? Nameless Nye was startled. Why wouldn't I inherit? Who'd inherit if I didn't inherit? The Nye family has so many riches. Who would obtain all the money if not me? Yuanwan sighed. How did she have a biological brother like this? Did Dad and Mom save all their brains for her? They should have at least given a little to him. Stop spouting nonsense. Who'd inherit it if you didn't inherit it? Yuanwan frowned deeply. If I don't inherit the Nye family, then it's definitely my second sister who'd inherit it. If my second sister doesn't inherit, then it can only be Nye Linglong. Oh wait, Nye Linglong doesn't have any blood relations with the Nye family, so she can't inherit it, so it would be Tang Tang inheriting it. But wait, Tong Tong's still young, so he can't inherit it. Anyway, it has to be my second sister. Nameless Nye provided his analysis of the matter. Nice job. So if you keep angering Dad and Mom and go too far and they kick you out of the Nye family, you'd suffer a great loss. The right of inheritance would fall to someone else's hands. Think about it. The Nye family is so rich. All those gold bars, gold bricks, the stacks of money. Everything. Yuanwan kept shaking her head lamentably while looking at Nameless Nye. Chapter 1649, Nameless Nye was astonished. How did you know the Nye family was so rich? You saw it? Rubbish. Yuanwan tried to keep a firm hold over her patience and said, The Nye family is one of the 4 great clans in the independent state. They might not compare to the Shun family in wealth, but how could they lack in wealth? Properties and such are secondary. What's most important is money, right? Of course. Money is most important. Nameless Nye nodded adamantly. So remember, no matter what happens, you can't have a fallout and fight with Dad and Mom. Yuanwan seriously said to Nameless Nye while staring at him. Yes, you're right, sis. I can't alienate myself from money. No, wait. I have to obey and revere Dad and Mom. Nameless Nya looked contemplative. Yuanwan was sincerely worried about Nameless Nya from the bottom of her heart. With his personality, he was too susceptible of a target. He couldn't protect himself against schemes at all, and would even help his trafficker count money after being sold. If anything happens to you, call me ASAP. Yuanwan gave one more reminder to Nameless Nya and turned to leave. If Nya Long and the fake worryless Nya really wanted to target Nameless Nya, Yuanwan couldn't sit back and watch. With her standing behind Nameless Nya, who knew who would come out on top. Mom liked her a lot at the moment, but she still needed to work on Dad. After all this time, Yuanwan obtained some understanding of Patriarch Nya, her biological father. He indulged the impersonator more than even Madame Nya. Yuanwan didn't blame her real parents for this, though. After all, Madame Nya and Patriarch Nya hadn't seen worryless Nya many times, and she was frequently absent from her parents' sides even before going missing for many years. Hence, it was very normal that her parents didn't recognize her. What would be absurd was if they recognized her at first sight. A moment later, Yuanwan reached a certain suburb and arrived in front of a large manor. Little sister, this isn't somewhere you should be. Before Yuanwan could enter, a string of strange laughter rang out from somewhere unknown. Yuanwan hadn't visited the Rows of Death's headquarters in a long time, and they probably recruited many strong new members lately, so it was reasonable that they didn't recognize her. Yuanwan didn't have a chance to respond before a breeze brushed past her and a woman wearing a mask appeared next to her in the blink of an eye. Are Luiying and Old Jiang here? Yuanwan softly asked while looking at the masked woman. The masked woman was startled. Who are you? Black Widow, Yuanwan replied. The masked woman suddenly started laughing. Oh, you say you're Black Widow? Why didn't I know that Black Widow was so young? Little sister, did you know that pretending to be Black Widow will bring calamity to your whole family? Who are you calling a pretender? The Rose of Death's copyright is in my hands. If I wanted to, I could create a white widow or a green widow. Don't you know what a copyright is? Boss, an elderly man walked out of the manor and was shocked upon seeing Yuanwan. Nine Tails, that's our boss, Black Widow. The elderly man hastily said to the masked woman. What? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.